Hello again, everyone. Happy New Year. I am Gary Gatto, and welcome to Velocity Online Racing coverage of round one of season 15 of the VOR Signature Series, the Velocity Online Racing IndyCar Championship, as we come to you today from Club Speedway in Fontana for the 11th running of the California 400 for our first of three 400-plus mile races of the season. Hey, just 2 days ago, the Indiana Hoosiers, the number one ranked Indiana Hoosiers, put on a thumping of the Alabama Crimson Tide about 40 miles west of here in Pasadena. And if you just head on to continue at the base of the San Gabriel Mountains and you come to Fontana, you will find the former Club Speedway in shambles today, but in its full glory right here in Velocity Online Racing on iRacing. And we will be opening the season for the 15th time Velocity Online Racing IndyCar Championship will be contested, and for the 11th time, will be coming to California Speedway. I hate calling it Auto Club, but California Speedway here in Fontana. Joining me in the booth, we're going to have a all-star squad. Not everyone here is here yet. Joining me here a little bit later will be the star of the iRacing broadcast booth. That'll be the great Justin Prince. But from our global IndyCar coverage and IndyCar iRacing League coverage, or excuse me, the International IndyCar League coverage is a suave-sounding Jack James. JJ, good to have you here. We are lining up and getting ready to go racing. The hope springs eternal for all these drivers. Everybody's at zero, and everyone has an equal chance at the championship. And also, they're at a track where everyone feels like they have an equal chance because the draft is such a big game changer, or I guess things that levels the playing field here. But welcome to a heck of a way to start the season and the new year here at Auto Club Speedway.
Yeah, it's fantastic to join everyone here, and where it might be cold outside for some of you, here in the simulator this afternoon, it looks very sunny and warm. As you say, the drivers have extreme experience around here. As you say, the 11th time that the championship has come to this circuit, but I believe the last time being season 13, and the top three of that being Jesper Dahlgren, Liam O'Sullivan, Alteno, who was on pole for that particular occasion, but I believe lines up third in this one this evening. And like you say, everyone's starting on 0 points. It's a track where a lot of people know where they're going. I think we're in for a very exciting race. I spoke to a couple of drivers in the lead up to this event, thinking and telling me that the bottom side of the racetrack, once you get further into that stint, is going to be a bit more difficult to work with. So if we see some alternate strategies and we see some undercuts trying to be formed, that inside line might become super powerful.
Let's get today's starting lineup here for the opening round of season 15. And on the pole is Liam O'Sullivan with a time of 32.7. Right next to him is Matthias Strauss, also with a time of 32.7. The difference between the two, O'Sullivan a 32.708, Strauss a 32.747. That is your front row. Then we have Julian Altena, who, remember, has not finished off the championship podium for quite a long time, and he's still looking for his third series championship. He lines up third on the starting grid today. Right next to him is the defending series champion, Klindy, who is lining up fourth. Then we got Christensen and Eftink, Lal, and Jesper Orman, but now going under the name Jesper Dahlgren. There in row 4, the two-time series champion. Then we got Saucier and Clegg in row 5. Moving on back, we got Seigers and Smith in 6. Ingrave and Brewer, there's a big row to watch in row 7. Silvazzi and Countert in row 8. Fiolis and Paola, and hopefully I'm saying that right. If I'm saying it wrong, just let me know in the Discord server and just send me a voice memo with how to say your name right. That's in row 9. And Steinecker and Stock in row 10 as we're moving halfway down the backstretch for the remainder of the field. Inch and Soto, row 11. Bree and Dufresne in row 12. Pim Van Gestel and Charpentier in row 13. Muriani and Nunez, who I believe has a start I think he has a start from pit road, but at least I think at the very least he has a end of row or end of line penalty. He is in 14. Rise and Henrique is in row 15. And I believe that is, nope, we got Pollock, who I believe also has a end of field penalty as well. And Ortiz will be shotgun on the field as we are bringing the field through turns 3 and 4 for the start of this race. Getting ready to go green, 200 laps, 400 miles, and a racetrack that rarely ever sees finishes that come from more than a tenth. That is a big finish, but here we go, green flag in the air. Here comes our front row, and the season underway here for season 15 of 4 as we are spreading out in the back. Running 3 wide off of corner number 2 down the backstretch as everyone starts to spread out. Everyone's still in a big pack together. This is going to be par for the course today. We're going to see probably a lot of the draft unless we get a lot of green flag pit stops cleanly through the backstretch. Now into 3 and 4, spreading out 4 wide, 4 different lines. And the completion of lap 1. Give it to Strauss joining us down the booth. is the czar of the iRacing broadcast booth is Justin Prince. Justin, good to have you here as Clindy drops to the bottom and nearly chops off Efting's front wing.
Yeah, right now the field trying to sort themselves out line to line. Bottom line seems to have the momentum in the corners, but that outside has so much ability to propel. Look at this three-wide move, though, from O'Sullivan to use the draft and power by them both. These types of moves today are going to be commonplace at a track like this when you're more than 210 miles an hour.
Is Clindy, O'Sullivan, Strauss, Law, Eftink, Jesper Dahlgren. He is now up to 5th. He has gained 3 spots. Biggest gainer right now is Nigel Stock. He's up 5 right now in the back of the pack, in the mid-pack. He is moving on up quickly. We're down the backstretch. Look at him hit those bumps. This is not a smooth racetrack at all. We go through 3 and 4 with Clindy up top, Strauss down low, and we got O'Sullivan in the wake of Clindy coming to the completion of lap 4, or lap 3, starting lap 4.
Yeah, it seems to be a mostly clean start for the field, but I did note some contact between Brewer and Saucier on the back straight the last time around, getting a little bit close on the run into turn 3. Didn't see any contact there, but need to watch out because these front wings are super fragile in these cars.
3 wide, almost 4 wide as Brewer goes to the bottom. And he comes out not getting all those positions he gained in the corner because you lose so much momentum on the bottom side, Justin. The high side you talked about is the one with momentum, and that's where everyone seems to be lined up at the moment.
Yeah, it really helps you just get that power down the back straightaway where, yeah, it's a little bit more bogged down than, say, a Michigan, but you still get that boost by especially the mid-straight. However, you still allow the chance to get boost with the draft. You see that with the 2 machine. Dahlgren able to zip by both. It seems as though if you are behind someone on the bottom and get a pole, you can get it to work, but the problem's going to be then holding on to the lead with so much draft effect for these cars today.
Don't forget, for the first time in league history, we have the hybrid on ovals available to us. So these guys have an additional couple seconds of boost each lap, but that also requires them to regen. So we're going to be seeing some different, I guess, some strategies of when to apply that little momentary boost. As we see a bunch of cars get up into the wall in turn 4 as they're all following everybody up too closely. And I think about 2 or 3 cars about smacked the wall, at least gave it a little bit of a kiss off a turn of corner number 4 as we head down into turn number 1.
Some of these drivers getting very aero tight, and I'm not sure if Jack's seen a better angle with that. Quite simply, when you get tight or someone gets tight, you get the driver behind you gets even tighter, and you just aero wash and fall each other up here. It's such a commonplace with these types of cars, Jack.
Yeah, it's exactly like you say. It's a domino effect. I mean, it's more prominent at circuits like this, and a little bit more like circuits like Indianapolis, where you're trying to get the slipstream, you're trying to maximize the draft and the top speed gain that you have from following that car in front. But as the tires wear, as you try and push the limits to try and gain that little bit of ground over the next car in front of you, as we see Brewer now losing a position to Clemworth into turn number 3. He zips past on the inside line. It's going to be even more important with this hybrid. The rules of the hybrid here. We've got a 1.0% of the regeneration rate, but we've got 0.8% of the deploy rate. So we're still going to be regenerating more than we're going to be deploying, but it's, again, completely strategic on how we're going to be using that this afternoon.
You see the sun peek behind the clouds there a little bit. It is Jesper Dahlgren, your leader. Clindy in second. Matt Brewer in third. Brewer up 11 spots. Fiolis, who's in the 6th spot, he's up 11. And Soto now up 10 spots. He is back in 12th. As we are now starting to settle into at least a third of the way. How much do you say? Either a third of the way or a fourth of the way through your first stint now at this point, as we are at lap 10. We expect anywhere if we go green the entire way, and that's asking an awful lot. Even a 400-mile race here at Fontana. But Justin, we're anywhere between a 6 and a 4 stopper. A 4-stopper opens at lap 40. That's a mighty large save here. A 5-stopper opens at a lap 33, 34. A 6-stopper opens at lap 28, 29. Do we think we're going to see green flag pit stops? They seem to be behaving pretty well right now at this point, Justin, is right now the two teammates up at the front, Clindy and Dahlgren, just swapping them back and forth.
Well, to answer your question, it's a possibility, but it really depends on how well this field behaves, because as you see the swap again for the race lead, one of the major things mentioned by a lot of people, I asked quickly to competitors, what were they expecting with the setup? Well, there was a lot of people saying that you can slide after 25 laps of pushing. So you can really destroy the tires if you're trying to push too hard or trying to make too many passes, which can absolutely cause you to wreck or fall through to this field. And these Firestones can fall off like a cliff, even more so than a stock car per se, with how much you can lose grip if you are pushing too hard, like someone like Brewer that might have charged through this pack, and as Chris pushing the tires here.
A little bit further on back, down 11 spots, but is this strategic? Is Julian Altena started up front, but he is now back in the 14th position. Is he back there saving fuel? Is he back there maybe because he has some damage? He's right behind a teammate. I got to think this is probably a very strategic move, JJ. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, I saw John Christensen at the start of the last couple of laps, the teammate that's in front of him. He was really sort of amongst it. I mean, nowhere near as aggressive as Brewer was with that little bit of contact that I obviously don't think is hindering him at all. As you say, he's up 11 or so spots from the start of this one. But, you know, we often see this with the Velocity Online racing cars, the Motorsport cars. They tend to group together in these races, and you know, we've seen it pay off in the past, or at least in my time, and we've seen it, you know, where it's looking so good to be paying off, and then something just gets in the way of that at the last few laps. And, you know, we see Julian now, he knows his way around this circuit. I mean, the last time the championship went to Auto Club, obviously without the hybrid, he managed to grab pole position. So I'm going to side with you and say this probably is a little bit of a strategic move from Julian and John to try and play the long game, because as you say, we've got 200 laps here today.
I had a driver into the wall with Violas, and we'll watch the replay here. Might have had a little bit of a kiss.
Those types of pushes up the track really scare me, though, because any harder, you risk breaking the entire tire off the car, if not causing some chassis damage. So you have to be so careful off turn 4. It's such an easy area to really chew up the right front. Look at this, though, a bit of 3 wide as the 55 cuts on through into the top 5.
Yeah, Soto's on a big haul. He's up 17 spots. He has found a good liking to this 2-mile oval. High speed. Oh, there's contact right there, and we're going to take out 2 cars, and we're under caution. And there's the big one. There is the big one. 4 cars involved, 5 cars involved a little bit. As I think Inch started bouncing around. We still got cars plowing into one another on the main straight.
Yeah, that was a little bit chaotic. It all started with Brewer, it looked like there. Watch this. For Brewer, he's sending it down to the inside, but the 55 is trying to hug middle and is already lifting to prevent getting time with the car outside, and it stacks things up with Brewer coming up the track. Chaos reigns.
It's exactly like you mentioned. A little bit of a lift there.
Yeah, sorry, Joe, go ahead, JJ. Just a little bit of a lift there, and the closing rates, all of a sudden, they're one on top of one another.
Exactly. I mean, it's exactly what Justin said not even 5 minutes ago. It's that domino effect, because if we watch back, I've just got the replay up on my screen here. We look at, you know, we see Soto trying to hold that middle line, and he's right in the foot tracks of the 2 cars in front, so he's going to have that incredible wake of dirty air, and it causes that lift, like you've said. And then obviously we now have the domino effect of Brewer then catching that sort of middle lane of wash, and it's just a domino effect from there, and he can't slow the car down, which turns Soto around. He then unfortunately collects a very innocent Rodan Eftink, who finds the catch fence in spectacular fashion, and it's just, again, for Eftink, wrong place, wrong time.
think his stock was also involved there. He was a big gainer at one point in this race. And just the closing rates as everybody starts piling on one on top of one another, and he gets involved in this one too. Everybody on pit road for their first pit stop of the season. Under caution here, lap 18 for the California 400, the opener for season 15 of the Velocity Online Racing IndyCar Championship. And a little bit of chaos here coming off a turn 4, about a 5 or 6 car incident, thinning the field a little bit. And we got a number of meatball flags up there. Stock, Inch, Soto, F-Tink. Hunter Ingrave is involved in that one as well, the former winner in the Elite Racing League's IndyCar Series. He has a meatball. And then Connert is also with a meatball. So 6 cars at least involved. With damage that is requiring them to come to pit row and get a look at. But some of those cars, that's going to be pretty terminal, specifically with F-Tink and specifically with Soto. And we're seeing already a retirement with Ingrave and F-Tink. So their days are done very early on. Not a way you want to start your season, Justin. Only 18 laps into a race and you're parking it already. That's going to hurt you in the points. It's a long season. We got 9. We're going to visit 9 tracks, but we have 11 rounds because we got a couple of double headers. But you're digging yourself a big hole very early. You got to dig yourself out of.
Yeah, absolutely devastating for the championship. You see the contact with some of the drivers watching up on the checkup. That's where Ingrave got the contact with the wall, then slammed rear end first into it to break the back end of the race car. That damage was to the axle in the rear. And as already said, damage is unrepairable. At least 3 cars have confirmed they cannot fix the damage. Now the interesting part of the strategy race is we did have about 10 stay out. 1 did roll through the pit lane at Charpentier. Everybody else risking it about halfway through the fuel run to try and see where things play out here. O'Sullivan, Fiolis, Law, Christensen, Altena. Seems like Altena Autosports decided to make the call and everybody stay on the racetrack. Steinecker, Clegg, Rise, and Bree, and Dufresne also decided to stay out and not come to pit road. JJ, interesting strategy. We got a couple of split strategies out there. The defending series champion and his teammate, Jesper Dahlgren and Clendy, of course, the defending champion, they decided to come in and top off and get a new set of tires, whereas the entire Altena Autosports squad decided that they were going to stay out and split this, or actually they're only halfway through a stint. They just want to stay out and see maybe if they get a little bit further.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because, my mind now casts back to round 2 of the GIC where we saw a similar situation. We saw Clemworth and Dahlgren sort of come back through the field and end up fighting right at the front towards the end of the race. And I did actually make a note of that we've got P1, 2, sorry, not P2, P1, 3, 4, and 5, all Altena Autosport cars as we now come to the green. And who's this with an incredible run on Julian? That's Fraser Clegg, who goes straight to the outside line, gets his track position nicely off the green flag. Altena's going to fight back and go through the middle of 3, actually, and get the place back off Christensen. And he's not finished yet, as Julian now goes back up into P3, back to his starting position, and overtakes Fiolis. But he's going to go for P2 here, guys.
And yeah, well, he's going to go for P1. He's going to the bottom, and he is going to clear his teammate. And again, teammates cooperating up front, not going to battle each other very hard here 20 laps into this race. And Julian to the point, O'Sullivan second, Law third, now Law second, O'Sullivan third. Clegg is in 4th and Fiolis in 5th, as we've already shaken up the top 5 already after 1 lap on this restart, Justin. It seems like these guys up front still are a little bit racy as we're going to go full walking down the backstretch.
That's a little bit of a bold cut to the inside. Clegg able to get the run. Altena just lucky. Didn't get squished into the fence with that situation. Absolute calamity. That was a bit crazy to say the least. Watch this on the slide up. Right here, thought he was clear, didn't clear. Altena actually scraped the wall and it goes offset 4 down the back.
Hey, JJ, what do you think there with some of those other drivers there, Altena Autosports? Discretion and valor, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's careful. I mean, you know, Aman Lal is one of the newer boys in the Altena Autosports stable, and given your boss the big squeeze down the backstretch is probably not going to be something that's going to give you brownie points back at the Altena Autosports stable. But, you know, all of them are running, and you know, Julian's a smart enough guy to know that, you know, each of these boys want to win the race. But putting a move like that, you know, 22 laps into this race is making a statement of intent. I know Lal was looking good for a win on Sunday at Phoenix, and probably feeling a little bit of pain from that, potentially still wanting to make a big statement earlier on in the race. But, you know, we've got a rookie now leading this race. We've got Clegg in the 57 heading this one up.
And that is Nigel, let's see, that is Stock. That is currently 1 lap down. Nigel Stock in 25th. He gets out of everyone's way, but had to get up right against the wall in order to do it. But you're right, rookie Clegg, leader Lal second, O'Sullivan third, Altena fourth, Violas in fifth. As we expect now, these leaders that did not stop there 23 laps into their opening stints, we suspect they will come to pit road. Let me look at the numbers here. Probably sometime in the next 10 to 12 laps, depending on how much they saved under caution. That should get them into about that 40 lap range. And really, if they can get to the 40 lap range and continue to do stints in the 40 lap range for the remainder of this race, they could probably do this only on 4 stops. That's a mighty big ask, and you're giving up a lot of speed in order to do that, as we see Fiola's going to the inside of Julian. But remember, when you're back there with the racing with all these teammates, all these Altena Autosports guys, Justin, remember the commandments of running with your teammates and racing with your teammates. Rule 1, thou shalt not wreck your teammate. Rule 2, or commandment 2, thou shalt revert back to commandment 1 if you forget when you do wreck your teammate, is don't wreck your teammate. It gets pretty hairy up there, but right now I would say all those Altena Autosports cars are pretty much cooperating with one another.
Yeah, and that's going to be a surprise here, quite simply. Probably all sharing information on weight jacker settings and how they're using the hybrid settings right now. But it's about just making sure you keep track position as a group. Right now you have Rice, for example, trying to break them up. But having that information so helpful if you're the Altena machines to be able to make sure you're all in sync on strategy, on fuel mapping, everything, to be able to keep the positioning if the strategy works out in the long term here.
JJ, what do you think about these guys also staying together? Because when they come to pit road, if we're going to do it under green, which there's a good chance that's going to happen when those guys have to come to pit road for the first time, they're at least going to have a draft partner to work with when they come off of pit road. You can't do it by yourself around here.
Yeah, I was just going to agree with what Justin was saying. Is, you know, power in numbers could be such an important thing around here. As we saw at the end of the GIC race at Indianapolis, we had 2 teammates against the lonely, fiercely forward driver. You know, you can't really do much when the 2 guys are working together. When you've got draft partners, it's power in numbers, isn't it? And I've been speaking to a couple of drivers pre-event here. Oh my word, that was mighty close, boys. Congratulations.
Just says it up there. I'm not quite sure Rise knew he was necessarily going to be there.
That was some incredible racing and spatial awareness from all drivers. We'll get a closer look at that one into turn 3 and 4. Gary, I'll let you take this one.
It's a big run on the high side of Rise. Not much room because he's going to be pushing up the racetrack because he's getting the wash from the car directly in front of him. And there was zero margin of error there on the corner exit, Justin. I mean, right there, Brewer, you couldn't slide a piece of paper in between his front wheel and the wall.
Yeah, and he's already talked about getting tight. That was a squeeze there a little bit. Just able to make sure he didn't wash up into the wall with the weight jacker settings. Nicely done for Brewer, who's been able to recover very nicely here. He's the first driver, by the way, who pit on tires. He's doing what he did earlier, cutting through the field, and this is while having to get repairs done. He had an extra 6 seconds in the box compared to everybody else, mind you.
Yeah, this thing that he's got underneath him looks like an absolute rocket. It's funny you mentioned that contact must have come from the, that damage and repair time. That extra 6 seconds must have come from that marginal little bit of contact that, you know, I hardly thought would have done anything. But just goes to show how fragile the cars here are in this current configuration of damage model, etc. But going back to my brief point of the Fontana Autosport cars, you know, speaking to a couple of drivers pre-event, halfway through the stints, we've seen it a little bit, we haven't touched upon it, but drivers find it a lot more difficult to keep it down low, and I believe that's probably one of the reasons why we had that first caution. And these drivers who are leaving it later, aka Fontana Autosport, they're going to be able to find a lot more ease in carving through the pack with what should be maybe 10, 12, Gary, as you said, lap fresher tires.
I think you mentioned it in the pre-race where you expected about 25 laps before you kind of have to come up off the bottom, and we were really at that point in the race when that first caution came out where the bottom was starting to wear out a little bit for these cars. Early in the stint, you could stay down at the bottom. Later in the stint, with this little extra added weight of the hybrid on these cars, you're going to start scooting up the racetrack, and we got a car into the wall off of turn 2. That looked like Katie Pollock, I believe, but keeps it going. Katie started from the rear of the pack, up 18 spots into 11th right now. But in the mid-pack, we're watching this battle with Law. There's Julian and O'Sullivan as Julian gets a big run off of turn 2.
Yeah, good boost to be able to get away here, but interesting in seeing how Glenworth does here for this. I know he wasn't feeling the best of the balance of the setup in his opinions earlier on. But right now, he's still been one of the better drivers, second highest on the strategy for tires. Just getting held up in the pack as the rest of the field starting to splinter a little bit with some of the battling going on up front.
He politely described this setup as dog water, which, you know, might be insulting if you're a dog, but he did not like this setup. But this is a fixed setup race, everybody. Oh, wow, that was close between Glindy and Rise. But everybody on the same setup. These are fixed setup races, so you cannot change the aero. You cannot change the tire pressure. You can't do anything like that on pit road. What you can do to improve your car, JJ, is you can work on the anti-roll bars, the front and the rear, the weight jacker for more subtle changes. You can change the brake bias. You can change the engine mapping, but that's all it is. Other than that, it's up to you to try to get your car to behave better in these corners and faster down the straights than the guy in front of you. And that is the name of the game in these fixed setup races.
Yeah, it's really like driving a spaceship or trying to land the space shuttle. We have the car in third place. I don't know who that was. That was Clegg, I think it was, tagging the wall off of turn 4. But yeah, no, I totally agree. Driving these cars at speed with this, you know, amount of proximity between cars, it's like doing the, what's it called? The Blue Angels, I think they're called out in the US. You know, keeping millimeters from each other, flying priceless fighter jets. I mean, of course, we don't have the same amount of money that need to be required to repair these cars. We've got something beautifully called the reset button. But you know, if you crash, you're not going to be finding yourself back on circuit. But just like you say, this is honestly the closest thing to a chess match. Although we're doing it at the best part of 350 kilometers an hour.
And
remember how you mentioned that it is a they're like fighter jets. It has been I think it was Rick Beers who said often that the racing in IndyCar is like flying fighter jets in a gymnasium. And at 2 miles, you would think this racetrack, it's pretty big, lots of room, and it is wide, lots of room, but you're completing lap times here in 30 seconds, give or take about 33 seconds is what it takes to turn a lap here. So everything happening so quickly, Justin, and these guys that decided not to stop, they're probably very close to coming to pit road, and that's really going to open up a big lead for Brewer as he's kind of up there by himself, but Glindy starting to creep into the picture in 5th. And I think once all those drivers come to pit road, it's going to be up to Glindy and Brewer then to lead this pack.
There's a different way to enter this pit road than you would normally expect, though, keep in mind. Drivers were told, hold on 1 second, we had the 78 just push up into the wall. Looks like everything's stable. That was in the background as that sees us stay green. Was about to say, pit road is not simple. You have to come off turn 3. Right now, the 78. Big time spook.
And on top of that, pit road's going to be even harder. And we've seen this before. And I'm going to get transferred. I'm going to segue over to you, JJ, because you've seen it before with these cars when you were doing a Phoenix race. You're telling me about slowing these cars down with the hybrid is entirely different.
Yeah, I mean, just, as I said on the pre-race show, before maybe even we went on air, the hybrid makes the rear tire, the rear axle response and power curve so much different to what we've been used to with these cars. And under caution, when we were at Phoenix into turn 1 and 2, there was a wreck, and we had a couple of drivers trying to get out of the way, and in pressing the brake pedal and trying to spam down the gears to get out of the way, they had what seemed like a free spin. And it looks like it was almost a lack of talent, but it's something to do with these new cars. And we actually saw Rodan Efting lose the race win because of that, because we have someone down in pit road, I believe.
Is coming to pit road. Yeah, the new way of slowing these cars down, I mean, we'll get the best of them. Justin, when I was doing the PRI Hoosier 500, a driver that I know that you've called a number of IndyCar wins for, Alexis Newsom, she came to pit road and immediately nosed it into the inside wall because of just the car is that different. It happens to the best of them out there. And we're going to start to see green flag pit stops unfold as Fiolis is now on pit road. He's down and away. Who is the next to bite? We got someone coming off of pit road onto pit road right now.
Yeah, right now I think for the most part no one else came down. Charpentier is the next one to come on through. They, remember, were amongst those who had just taken a drive-through and then came back without stopping. Looks like, though, it's a full pit party. This is what I was talking about. O'Sullivan just about snapped it around trying to slow it down here. This car does not want to stay stable. It is nearly spinning.
It is a handful indeed, and he is bringing Clegg with him. But watch this, O'Sullivan has to go to the inside. So we're coming in off of turn 3. We've got to get down to the apron. Again, very little banking, slippery down there. And watch this car, it's evil when you try to slow it down. Even with all of the downforce it's generating at that speed, that car was probably a handful. And who knows how much time he lost trying to come to pit road, but he at least made it on the pit road as he locks it up coming into his box. But now really just going to turn the lead over to Jesper and Clinton. But Matt Brewer has blinked out.
On black flag and he is as well.
Oh, and he is now has a black flag indeed as he sped coming to pit road.
I don't think he intended on pit road. I think when he had the tech issue, he hit the wall. Because the last thing I see here is a scrape to the fence and then a hard left. So it was not planned for Brewer. That is not good, to say the least, for his chances after his hard charge.
In the pit road right now, that is Christensen. Back up front, it is Klindy and Jesper Dahlgren, otherwise known as Jesper Orman, the two-time defending series champion. Not defending series champion. The defending series champion is that one pink car right behind him, but a two-time champion, Jesper Orman, and also all-time winningest driver in the series. And they are both teammates, and they are working together to try to run away from P3 Bryce Saucier, who has snuck up to P3 very quietly, and Katie Pollock has done the same. JJ, we have not been watching these cars kind of from the mid-pack, but all of a sudden we got two names that we have not talked about a lot today. Saucier and Pollock are up inside the top 5 all of a sudden.
Yeah, this is a perfect example of how people trying to do some under-the-radar strategy. As I've just been clocking Julian Altena. He was the last of the Altena Motorsport cars to go into the pits, and I believe he pitted last time around with no issues. But it's this kind of thing, we have the massive, dramatic, incredible race that we have on screen and in front of our eyes, which by no means is boring and has been entertaining us from the green flag drop of both restarts and start to now. But we also have that more strategic chess-like game, which some of the viewers might take way more interest in. As I saw on my screen, a car going very slowly as we've got a caution. I believe that was the car that I just spotted finding the wall on the transition of turns 1 and 2. I mean, it was a very brief sort of, yeah, he's found the wall already.
Linking too, and just kind of comes to a stop on the race course, and that's going to bring out a caution.
Yeah, that had to have factored in here for Gavin Smith, because I don't think Smith see him for much of the way. Yeah, Smith hit him. I think trying to cut to the inside. Tech issues didn't help, obviously, but I think he still would have touched regardless of it. Quite simply, Smith just was too high up the racetrack, almost like he was expecting him to just disappear outright, but just ends up grazing him.
I think he gets a good run going into one there, and a little bit of the chrome car with a chrome horn.
Yeah. I think that's one of those tech sort of netcode problems that would have happened anyway. I mean, he's lucky to not get any damage from that. I mean, from what we can see anyway. But yeah, it's unfortunate that they're trying to race to the maximum of their capabilities, and they have great trust in them, in each other, these drivers. But unfortunately, sometimes things just don't go right.
Yeah. Now, there is one thing to mention. Notice in the back of my mind, this was the last caution. This is how difficult it is, remember, for the pacing portion of tonight. This was coming up to the 1 to green. Strauss just followed on the pacing line, and notice as we came to the green, his nose was dragging. That's because about here-ish, see him start to have a technical issue. Don't think that's the factor. What is the factor is they speed up, and there's a bit of a checkup, and that was, it just so happened to be the Gavin Smith.
Yeah, even at, and keep in mind, they look like they're crawling, but they're doing 60 miles per hour. They're doing highway speed, and if you've been on a highway in your own car and the car in front of you immediately tries to stop, at least they're going to have brake lights, right? That did not occur, and all of a sudden, even the closing rate at 60 miles per hour in these cars extremely fast, and bang, pow, right into the back of him. I know when I used to race these things, I would try to offset myself up until like the very last second with the car in front of me, just so I would not hit the car in front of me and be out of the way of the car behind me. I had more faith in me not hitting the car in front of me than the car behind me running it, so I always wanted to be offset. But everybody in line at that point, that's exactly what happened. But interesting strategy up at the front of the pack, though. Jesper Orman stays out, and everybody else came to pit road, but Jesper Orman's going to have a ton of cars behind him on the racetrack, and this might have been very strategic because you have trapped down some big swingers here in this race. You have O'Sullivan, who is now trapped down a lap. Fraser Clegg trapped down a lap. Julian Altena trapped down a lap. All these guys that we saw up at the front of the pack a little bit earlier, maybe the Rogue Racing guys playing a little strategy like, well, go ahead, Clindy, you go to pit road, get a new set of tires or get top off the tank, or do whatever it is you want to do. I'm going to hold these guys that are that were charging and that are going to be some of the big challengers all day long. I'm going to hold them down a lap and allow you to get back on the racetrack and second spot, but just behind all that and see if you can work your way up. And if you can catch them, great. If you can't, those guys all behind me are going to have to earn to get their lap back. They're going to have to pass me. And I'm speaking on behalf of Jesper Orman.
Yeah, this is the huge thing I'm noticing is you only have, as a result of this, not 8 cars on the lead lap. This is absolutely a play that takes some of the contenders and put them in a spot where they're going to need to hope for a perfect strategy sequence now, because the time of some of the pit stops here. This is about a 100 IQ play to make sure you limit the variables. Look at, there's a big gap between first and second too. Jesper's going to have a huge gap for the restart with a bunch of lappers in between.
Yeah, he has about 8 cars between himself and the leader. But again, the leader's his teammate. And all those cars in front of him, they didn't come to pit road, whereas Clindy did. So Clindy's going to have the fresher tires. He might be able to run through some of those as we go green flag as everybody spreads out, including a car going to the grass in the back. Clindy goes all the way to the bottom underneath the white line.
Yeah, he's not messing about, is he? It was pretty much before the start-finish line, and he's already up 2 spots. He's not messing about, but it's one of those things that we saw, you know, as we now see him actually giving those places back because he went down below that apron. So it's fair play from Cronworth. Good to see that from him. But yeah, he's not messing about. And this is, you know, when I said earlier, anyone watching who didn't believe me when I said this is like a chess match, well, do you believe me now? You know, we've got two teammates that have controlled this race in theoretically all odds. You know, we had at one point 5 Altena Autosport cars, first, third, fourth, and fifth, and possibly even sixth as well, I think, if I recall correctly. And you know, the whole race has been completely flipped on its head because of the power move that we have seen from the teammates of Jesper Dahlgren and Carl Klemworth.
Yeah, it just happens that that caution came out right in the middle, kind of a pit cycle for that alternate group, which is now trying to get back on the lead lap. On the lead lap now is Liam O'Sullivan and Clegg. They are at the tail end of the lead lap, and then right behind them, the next car to try to get back on the lead lap is that pink car in Fiolis. Your leader is that gold Navy car. That is Jesper Dahlgren, former Jesper Orman. And he is your 2-time champion here of the Velocity Online Racing Series, all-time winner here, and former 2-time winner here at this racetrack as Fiolis goes up into the wall off of 4. And Jesper had to take a little bit of evasive action, but that is the situation up at the front. Meanwhile, in the back, Bryce Saucier has moved up to P2, and he is a sandwich. Actually, he is the meat in the Altena Autosport sandwich. In front of him is Altena. In behind him is Lal as he tries to go underneath Julian here to pick up track position. In the third spot is Clindy, who's about another 4 cars back. Katie Pollock is in 4th, and Pim Van Gastel is in 5th. Right now, only your top 10 on the lead lap, actually now top 8. But 9th and 10th who are trying to get back on the lead lap are fighting it out right in front of your leader.
You know what? Just look at the way that Dahlgren has been driving the last couple of laps. He's been doing some super aggressive moves and almost throwing that car down to the bottom of the racetrack and just letting it fly itself back up in an attempt to sort of back everyone up. Oh my word, that was extremely close. You know, that nearly backfired big time as Saucier now in the effective P2, although he's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th in the line, about to get past what looks like to be, I want to say Altena or O'Sullivan, that is in the blue and white, but I could be stand corrected. And, you know, he's sort of calmed down a little bit now, but at the start of the restart, I was riding on board with him, and there seemed to be a little bit of frustration in the physical behavior of that IndyCar.
And on top of that, Justin, you call a number of these IndyCar races. They already have their hands full in a fixed setup race, but now you even have your hands full more so with the hybrid there, where you get to deploy it and regenerate it. Just I've been hearing from some drivers that since the hybrids got here, that they really have their hands full in these fixed setup races now. We talked about fighter jets in a gymnasium. It's almost like flying a jet out there with every lever and button you have to push.
Yeah, exactly. And already it's about trying to figure out when am I going to be able to use that charge. That was almost a little bit too much of a push into the wall. Then they wreck themselves up in the front of the field. I will say this, it's about when do you use it? Do you use it for offense? How to use it for defense? It's almost, I'm thinking almost to the push to pass era a little bit with some of the cars too, in terms of the road course side of things, where you had so many seconds of real life and so many uses in iRacing. It's almost feeling like that per se with the timer now, where you have to have that extra strategic use to know when you do it. How about close racing?
You know, JJ, I'm going to toss this over to you. You've raced these cars a number of times. Talk about trusting your fellow driver out there. I'm sure Jesper trusts O'Sullivan. He's raced a number of races with him, but how much do you trust someone like Fraser Clegg, someone that you haven't driven with a lot, and now you're wheel to wheel at 220 plus miles per hour, albeit virtually, but you got to put some faith in that driver you're racing there with, even though you've never raced against them, and sometimes that faith needs to really be earned.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, we see Jesper Dahlgren now sort of beginning to fall his way back down the field, and you know what I wanted to say while this was all kicking off is I'm all for a little bit of, you know, helping your teammate out and trying to hold cars up, but there gets to a point where, you know, it almost becomes a little bit more on the unsportsmanlike side of things. I mean, we see him now sort of rolling over, so to say, as, you know, Clenworth now gets past him and he drops down to P3 in the timing sheets, but what is this, probably 12th in line on the actual circuit itself. And I've, you know, been lucky enough to drive 1 or 2 races, probably best part of 8 months ago with the likes of Jesper Orman and Liam O'Sullivan, both fantastic and respectful drivers. As we see, Jesper now comes down to pit road and that's his job done, so to speak, as we now see Clenworth back with that lead group. But yeah, I mean, you have to have incredible trust in the people around you, and like you say with Clegg, as someone who is sort of a new factor in this equation, so to say, naturally you're going to want to give him maybe half a meter more space, just in case he does something that you probably wouldn't expect. And I know O'Sullivan, he's a good friend of mine off circuit, and he's the type of guy he'll give you the room, but if you sort of push his back up against the wall, he's going to come out swinging with a few uppercuts, and he's going to remember it. You know, he's not going to play nice from that point forward.
And Bryce Saucier now with those newer tires, getting by O'Sullivan and Clegg again to put them a lap down. And now I would think, just me, Justin, if I was Saucier, yeah, I want to lead, but I'm leading. Let's just ride behind the 2 guys that are trying to get back on the lead lap. We already know they're fast, and maybe work on fuel mileage, and you get the best of both worlds. You're leading and saving fuel.
Great point, because obviously in this type of race, a couple stops down in terms of tire sets. It's important to mention they actually added an extra tire set for today to open up the tire strategy, just in case, so it wasn't as strict with the 6 stop number you were estimating. So for these drivers, it's really worked out in a way where you have that an extra banker set in case of a situation, what we've seen early on, to be able to plan things out for the long run. I think for Saucier, though, it's going to be simple. Swap draft, swap draft, swap draft. Take the run if you have it, because otherwise, other people are just going to box you in and take away your ability to keep yourself in clean air for part of the lap and give yourself fresh air to help cool the tire.
Here comes Clendy. That is that pink car, 4th in line, 2nd on the timing sheet. And he is right with this battle. Pim Van Gastel's there, Katie Pollock is there, and Matthias Strauss. They're all right up in this group now, as those that stopped not too long ago are all battling now at the front of the pack for the lead. We've been watching at the front of the pack here. These have been drivers that have been at the tail end of the lead lap, but now the drivers that all stopped on that last caution are all starting to come to the front now.
A little bit coiled up here with Glenworth now getting the chance to follow. This is huge for his pole. Now, the one thing I've noticed, you were talking about a hybrid system, it's about finding that balance around speed. It gives you that an extra 3-4 miles an hour. I think Clendy used some of that with that pull of the draft to make sure he got such a big advantage to be able to pull around everybody here.
He uses a little bit of the draft from O'Sullivan to pull him forward. He's hanging out on the bottom, trying to get that car to rotate along with speed. You do get bogged down up there, the high side with Clegg. Going to get a big run off the corner, going to cut down in front of Clendy at the start-finish line. Still a battle to try to stay in the lead lap with the 2 cars in front of the leader. The leader is the pink car, the #1, the 50 Series champion. Clendy, the leader, right in front of him are 2 guys trying to stay on the lead lap. That is Clegg, that is O'Sullivan. Right behind him is P2 in the pink car. Clendy in the Pink Panther. Right behind him is Saucier. To the top side, that is P2. And then Pim Van Gastel, who is about 2 more seconds back, because that is Fiolis also trying to fight to get back on the lead lap. He is also up in the front, needing to get back on the same lap as the leader.
Yeah, it's becoming a hornet's nest here. I will say, give a shout out to Strauss in the midst of all of this. Says, hold on, 3 wide up front yet again. The lap cars really want to hold on in front for the lead lap. And they need this to go green or have a time of a caution perfectly to be able to hold on here. But the problem is, drivers like Clendy and Saucier are not wanting to play this game. They just want to drive and hold on to the race lead here. Look at the cut.
Yeah, we're almost seeing a 2v2 duel, lappers versus leaders, as you know the leaders are now sort of starting to take over a little bit, as we saw Clenworth now take the lead. O'Sullivan hot on his heels, but seemed to be boxed in a little bit as we head down the back straight. I'm sure there's going to be a dive to some sort of the end of the racetrack as he decides to keep it a little bit higher, tries the burn up around the outside. But you know, just looking at the pit stop times, we have O'Sullivan on 7 lap older tyres than Kyle Clenworth, our leader, and leading this train now. You know, Liam O'Sullivan, please do remember, he's not fighting for the lead. He's fighting to get back onto the lead lap so that he can fight for the lead. That's why he's being so elbows out. That's why he's sort of not wanting to let this happen. And, you know, there's no blue flags being waved for him to get out the way. This is him trying to save his race at the moment.
Yeah, he wants a caution to happen while he's in front of the leader, because then he will be able to get the wave around basically and come to pit road at the same time as the leader. But he is not too far away, very seriously, from having to come down pit road on his own right. O'Sullivan currently 9th on the racetrack, 42 laps into this stint, and I suspect that he did some yellow time under that, but he's going to have to come to pit road here very shortly, and then he'll have no choice just to live with being 1 lap down for another whole stint, as Clindy will move ahead of him, because Clindy stopped in that last round of pit stops, Justin, and that might have been the best IQ call. The guys got all that track position, but with no caution or a follow-up caution, they're going to have to relinquish all of that track position back to the guys that stopped.
Exactly, and this is going to be that ebb and flow that we'll see the rest of the way. Absolutely. This run has gone very well, though, I will say, for the majority of this field, keeping it calm with the tire stints outside of up at the front. Everybody's kind of making it clear they're willing to just choo-choo train and save to try to extend here with the numbers. And right now, if you break down the numbers, it's actually going to be pretty tight. 129 laps to go. Estimated run 40 laps is the top end you're talking about. You're talking about 3-stopper if you get to 40 every time. You're going to have to be perfect if you're those who are a lap down. Everybody else has a 10-lap buffer on the gas tank.
It's a pretty big buffer. You can't really save 10 laps worth of fuel. Well, you can, but you're going to have a lot of caution. But the field has started to thin out a little bit. We started with 30. We're down to 23. 7 cars on the lead lap, but we have a number of cars from 9th on back to 20th that are just 1 lap down, and would like to see just a little bit change in the situation and maybe get that lap back. But those that are 1 lap down are having to come to pit road here very, very shortly, as we are at lap 74 of 200. Thanks for joining us, everybody. If you enjoy Velocity Online Racing's coverage of the VOR IndyCar Championship and respect the stream, please do us a solid. Make sure you support us by subscribing, and while you're at it, don't forget to smash like and click the bell so you'll miss out on future live racing broadcasts here in the Velocity Online Racing Channel. Up front, drivers fighting to stay on the lead lap. In the middle, 2 drivers that are just at the front of the pack. I guess there's no rush. There's no place to go. Might as well just save on the mileage and run this thing out, JJ.
Yeah, it's really difficult if you're Kyle Clenworth, because obviously you're leading this race. Ideally, you know, you've got quite a big contender in O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan's a very capable driver in this car and in this championship. You know, he's won races. He knows how to do it before. As Clenworth loses the run and goes a little bit wide out of turn 4, which then allows, I believe that was Brian Fiolas, to now take back the effective lead of this race, albeit being a lap down. And, you know, if you're Clenworth, you need to sort of play a risk game. You need to think, okay, how important is it to my race if I just sort of let the guys a lap down have their lap? You know, how much will that then hurt me later on in this race? Because realistically, all he needs to do is stay ahead of the car that's 4th in the queue. He's sort of, you know, Bryce Saucier. That's all he sort of really needs to focus on at the moment. But it's, you know, how much he sees O'Sullivan and the rest of the cars effectively a lap down as a threat later on in this race.
This is the world's fastest racetrack, although it's no longer a racetrack. I think it's half of a track or maybe a quarter of a track, and they just still haven't finished demolishing the place. The world closed course speed record was set here, guys, if you can believe it, 26, coming up on 26 years ago. Jill de Ferran turned a lap of 241.428 miles per hour here for the world closed course speed record and has not been toppled since. It just kind of tells you where IndyCar kind of went from 2000 forward versus the little speedy darts they used to have here with turbochargers and lightweight and high-powered engines. I don't know if we'll ever see another 240-plus mile per hour lap, but this is the only race course in the world that has an officially recognized lap of 240 miles per hour. And Jill de Ferran, even though he has long since passed us a couple of years ago, is the world's fastest IndyCar driver ever when he turned that lap. So, again, 26 years ago. Hard to believe that. IndyCar has run here 14 times before they stopped running here. Last time they ran here was that very exciting MAV 500 race in 2015. Probably one of the best IndyCar races ever ran if you talk to people that were watching the race. That's on YouTube. I encourage you after this race to go check that out. But 14 times IndyCar has raced here. 10 of those races were 500-mile races. We're doing a 400-mile race here today. And up at the front, it is Klindy, Saucier second, Tim Van Gessen third, Strauss fourth, Katie Pollock in fifth, as we are nearing pit stops here at lap 80 for a lot of this next group. And they're on pit road right now. Here comes Violas.
Yeah, able to make the quick cut down on the apron here to make the roll. Violas had been a little bit tight, noticing prior to this stop. Nice and swift, and should see a full wave of some of these drivers here coming up, like Clegg, like a couple of the others here that are coming up. For reference, by the way, for those curious, okay, where did the two machines come out with the strategy? Right now, Dogren is actually in the lead pack in the mix of things, 36 back of the race leader in itself on interval. That's about what you expect for the loss difference. 36 seconds was the estimate on time lost with a pit lane. And right now, actually is currently in a decent position to maybe be up for the race leaders yet again for a little bit once things cycle again.
We'll see when O'Sullivan makes that move. He is still at full song at the moment. He is 42 laps into this stint. So that tank is going to be awfully light here at the moment with those tires awfully worn. Meanwhile, the car that's the leader and right behind him is actually sandwiched by first and second of the racetrack as Saucier now goes around Liam. I would imagine Liam is probably coming to pit road any time now. But Saucier, he stayed all the way in that top lane. I thought he was going to bring Liam O'Sullivan with him. And here comes Liam O'Sullivan. I figured coming to pit road. He is down on the apron in turns 3 and 4. Trying to answer the call to pit road.
I believe Silvassi is set to follow him in. I don't know whether that's true or not, as I've just checked the in-sim drivers chat. Yeah, so he's in as well. So that's those two now sort of back into, well, I mean, it's going to be a difficult one to recover. These guys sort of need a caution at this point, don't they?
Yeah, I think they're going to need a little bit of help. There's still a long race. We're not to the halfway point yet. But for the good news for O'Sullivan, when he does leave pit road, if Silvassi could stay with him, we know Silvassi has a lot of pace. We've seen him. He's a former winner here in the series. Silvassi and him will both have pace. They could work together. But up at the front, a driver we expected, not to undercut Saucier here, but Klindy, your defending series champion. We expect to see him at the front. But Bryce fighting a great race and having a great race up in second spot there by virtue of just a little bit of an extra pit strategy. And he is right now second spot on the racetrack, fighting it out for the race lead. A little bit further back, about 5 or 6 cars back in a green, white, and black car is Pim Van Gessel. That is in third position. But the battle for the lead right now up at the front between Klindy and Saucier. Klindy, we expected. Saucier, we did not, but it just tells you that Saucier is on a sound strategy right now, Justin.
Yes, indeed. Right now, liking how things are looking at, liking how Saucier has played this much of the way. compared to Glenworth, who's having to cut through lap traffic a lot. Saucier managed you winning championships with series like Champ Car in the past as well. So he's got the veteran prowess to be able to contend here. It's just going to be the tough part of how much he's pushed on the tire save. Glenworth expect this to be a tire save game. And we've kind of seen the pace, mind you, go to the 34.3s. They fought off an extra couple tenths here on the tempo. And that's going to make things a little bit more tricky here as these tires wear down from the peak of about 1 second faster than what they're running right now.
JJ, you see the third car in line there. I'll let you go ahead and pick up your point. Third car in line there is here. I know Clindy will probably not fight him very hard because they're teammates, and that will get Jesper at least onto the lead lap if he can pass Saucier. But Jesper could be a big help to Clindy up here by just being a thorn in Saucier's side, just trying to get back on the lead lap and allow Clindy just to kind of ride behind and save some fuel.
Yeah, you know what? It's very reminiscent to when we last saw these two teammates on circuit in the same race. If you remember back to, I'm going to reference it again, the GIC Indy race. Oh my word, that was close. You know, we tend to see these two with one other driver sort of going at it, as we have a spinner actually on the entry to pit lane. I believe that would have been Ortiz, and I wanted to point out that actually Henk-Jan Stanneke did pit last time around as well, for anyone sort of looking out for him. But going to my point that I was originally going to say, my word, what a save.
I'm not sure why. I don't know why he shot up onto the banking there from the apron. Just ended up just stopping, turning in the middle of that, and it caused him to snap on the weight shift.
Yeah, and again, these cars are much harder to slow down, and looks like he went up on the banking, unloaded the car, and that's kind of what happened, and it's going to cost him some time on pit road, but at least he has Miriani that he can run with. We got cars on pit road, leaders on pit road right now, 1 and 2. 1 and 2 on pit road, scheduled stop, black flag, Bryce Saucier speeding on pit road.
Oh no. Oh, what a shame. This would have been such a good race for him, as we're actually now going to look at the onboard. Justin, take us through this one.
Now you see Saucier is trying to push as much as possible, with separated by about 7 car lengths to the 1. See, Glenworth took a little bit more conservative on the entry. Saucier tried to dig deep for it. Just locked it up after the cone.
Clindy. Wow, Clindy about lost it too.
I know Clindy lit up the radio there. I think he bobbled it on the brakes too. Both of them locked it up after the cone. That was sketchy. Now we're going to have
Pim Van Gastel coming to pit road, right behind the camera shot here in Lal. Pim Van Gastel, our leader, he's coming to pit road.
It's funny you pick up on Van Gastel, because I've been wanting to bring his name up over the last few laps, because he's one of those drivers in this race that has sort of not had too much attention put on him, not been sort of involved in some of the crazy fights that we've seen. And I rode on board with him for a few laps, and he was sort of minding his own business, not trying to get overly too close with the car in front or behind him, just sort of running his own race. And at the moment, that really seems to be paying off for him. He's slowly crept his way up and up and up, and is currently leading the race, and has had a clean couple of pit stops where others have had lockups, black flags, spins, just all sorts of race-altering events, and he's just sort of kept his cool, maybe given a little bit of a tenth here and there in the sense of trying to be a bit safer, and so far it's sort of paid off for him.
And Justin, you mentioned it, now he's picked up the lead. Jesper Orman with a lead a mile long, literally, because he's got 7 seconds over Clindy. Jesper needs to come to pit road anytime. But to add to JJ's point, Justin, I think you called the race when I was in it one time for the Lionheart Speedway Series when they ran the DW12s here. And I qualified in the mid-pack, but halfway through the race I looked down, and all of a sudden I'm in the top 10, and I really didn't think I was having a great race. And the reason why I was able to move up into the top 10 is there were so many mistakes coming to pit road. And this track is deceptively evil when it will reward you on the racetrack. It'll get you feeling nice and comfortable. But the second you try to slow down and come to pit road and you get that black flag and you get that 40-second hold, you're just basically giving up free positions to people around you for just making a small mistake, Justin. That's the key of the game here is not just racing a smart race out on the racetrack, but when you do come to pit road, don't make the mistake of speeding.
And it sounds simple.
It does.
I mean, but at the same time, the thought process is if you take it too conservative, you can leave 3 seconds on the racetrack. We've seen that in a lot of cases in the stock car side. It definitely comes into play here today. And as a result, you'll see people try to push the envelope and try and take advantage of the average speed to the first line rather than just try and make sure you're safely at the speed limit at the cone. It's just that extra drive to find that extra little speed once you get to the lane, because once you get to that white line and you're above a certain average, you can absolutely say hello to the marshals.
Yeah, I decided to give up 3 seconds to save on 40. Just like, just be conservative, come to pit road, don't do something stupid that's actually going to get a 40-second hold, and you might be a little bit slower. And sure enough, I looked down, and I'm in the top 10. So I had a fun time that race. I remember every single lap was a hard lap. It was a pretty much a sprint the entire time. But just by virtue of not speeding on pit road, all of a sudden walked my way into the top 10. Currently watching on the racetrack, Patrick Silvazzi. We said he had a lot of speed and a lot of pace. He is in 9th position now. Is right in front of him on the racetrack is Steneker and Julian Altena battle for position in 7th and 8th. Actually, this is 6th, on the racetrack. 8th, 9th, and 10th on the racetrack. 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th.
I saw just coming to the stripe last time around, we saw Steneker just nab the wall a tiny bit, which sort of put that battle to rest for a little, maybe half a lap or so till the slipstream does its thing once again. But, talk about the saving a little bit here and pushing a little bit there is when you're a driver in a series that's, as competitive as the Velocity Online Racing Series, you're going to want to find every single tenth that you possibly can, especially with fixed setups. I mean, my racing experience in the Indy side is, I would admit, slightly less experienced than yourself, Gary, but it's still a pit lane limit, and I would like to think that my experience in the road side of racing is a lot more, and especially when you're racing on fixed setups and even open setups, when you're racing against the top bracket of whatever discipline it is, you're going to want to find every single ounce, to the point where drivers will literally sit there for half an hour and practice going out and just coming in, going out, coming in, just to maximize coming into the pit lane, because unlike real life, the test time is unlimited. You can run as many laps as you want. You can run all day, 24 hours, as long as you don't end up falling asleep behind the wheel. But that's the biggest thing about sim racing in general, not just in IndyCar here, as we see now Dahlgren into the pit lane. Maybe Justin, you want to cover some of the plan that's going on here?
Yeah, the plan's quite simple here with this. I think right now the net advantage is a couple seconds compared to Cronenworth right now in terms of working cycle. But the strategy is setting up for a short fuel stop, potentially with about 20 laps to go if it goes green. Yeah. We're coming up to halfway this time by. It's setting up for potentially a lighter car to go faster at the very end for the 2 machine and still be in position to be in for a decent finish by the checker flag here because of how things are cycling. He could still get a top 10, if not a top 5 here.
Yeah, if he could do 240s, which is pitting that lap 140, then lap 180, then that is a half a tank full that he needs to get home from lap 180 to 200. And we are now at the halfway point. Again, thanks for joining us, everybody. It is Clindy, the defending series champion, your leader. Matthias Strauss is in second, about 4 seconds back. Tim Van Gastel is maintaining that P3 position. He is 12 seconds back of the leader. Katie Pollock, very quiet race for Katie in P4. Liam O'Sullivan is on the tail end of the lead lap. He's in 5th, and also on the tail end of the lead lap, right in front of our leader is Julian Altena in 6th, but a little bit back into the pack. We're watching this battle right around Christensen. That's Christensen, Steinecker, Silvazzi, Fiolis. This is for 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. Actually, going back to 12th. Miriani's involved there.
Yeah, these battles have really become intriguing in terms of the plotting and planning that's coming to place with some of the drivers pinned a lap down here. You have a lot of chances of the two, obviously, with fresh tires coming through here. But for the most part, it's kind of become how these packs have broken up into their respective strategy groups, as you would expect in a race like this. The top thing is now for them is getting a chance to be able to move up to another group is very, very hard from this point forward. Look at the two just drive around them all.
Yeah, the power of fresh tires here is absolutely nuts. I mean, we saw, I believe it was into turn 1 and 2 this time last lap. You know, the number 2, Jesper Dahlgren, was able to just breeze past everyone, being able to stick his car right to the bottom of the racetrack and really use that fresh rubber to sort of bypass these guys and sort of get on about his day. And there's nothing that you know, the likes of Fiolus Christensen can do, because he's on the fresher tires. Although he's got a heavier car, the tires just completely outweigh that.
This is the 11th running of the California 400 here in the Velocity Online Racing IndyCar Championship. Your defending series champion. Caution on the racetrack, by the way, and that is Aman Lal back into, I think, the turn 1 and 2 wall. And we are under caution here at lap 105, and this is going to turn us on our head a little bit and see if some people are going to come to pit road and see if maybe some people are going to try to get that lap back.
Yeah, big timing there that will take the two out of the conversation. Didn't draw timing for the stop there, but for Lau, I think. Did he get help? Yeah, it almost looked like it from the back. I can't tell if it's that or just snapped around.
It almost looked like, because of the lack of downforce, the car hit a bump and he's tried to turn in and just lost it.
He got help. He got help.
Yeah.
That was, yeah.
Same thing as Gavin Smith.
Yeah, right, same spot of the racetrack. You're absolutely right. And that's Rise. He's not going to be any faster at that point in the racetrack. I mean, he is in a 2-car draft. He's probably 230, 235, and maybe Lal just did a little bit of a lift because he was trying to save some fuel right behind that car that he was right behind. And that little bit of a lift is all it takes, because with so much downforce these cars produce, even with these super speedway wings, it's like, as Maverick says, I'm going to hit the brakes, they're going to fly right on by, right? Well, I mean, that's effectively what you got happening is when you come off the power here, you are hitting air brakes with all the downforce these cars produce. And a little bit, you're that close. The closing rate is instantaneous almost. And that's what happened. Rise into the back. It looks like iRacing is going to forgive him on the damage. He still might come to pit road to see if there's anything there that needs to be repaired. But we are under caution here at lap 106. As a number of people coming to pit road, number of people still staying out. Clindy staying out. Strauss staying out.
But Christensen as well, I believe, goes past pit road this time. But I can tell how frustrating that can be for Aman Lal. That's 2 races in a row that he's done where things haven't gone to plan, and an instant disconnect from the race server sort of amplifies that feeling of frustration that must be coming from him at the moment. But we said that a few guys needed a caution, and they've got that caution. So we'll see. As you said, Justin, it's going to flip absolutely everything on its head, and I'm really excited to see what kind of new race that we're going to have heading into the second half of this one.
Yeah, and I understand the reasoning here too with this play, why you would stay off your Clendy, Strauss and company. Quite simply, you're limiting the variables even more. So you're keeping everybody pinned that extra lap down to everybody else. You're still on the strategy to make this a couple stopper. Quite simply, if this goes green from this point forward, or you get the caution landing in the right spot again, you essentially guarantee yourself a top 5, if not better here. Absolutely the smart play, despite it being a bit offside for the strategy. It still puts you in a great spot for later on for your window.
And Clindy staying out, and maybe this is a bit of a sacrifice by Jesper Dahlgren, who's that 3rd car in line. by Clinty staying out and Strauss staying out. That's going to trap Dahlgren a lap down. So I don't know if Dahlgren just said, hey, Clinty, I'm going to battle my way up to you on this restart, and I can get my lap back that way, and I'll break the air for you, and you just follow behind and try to save some fuel. Or he just said basically, stay out, I'll stay the lap down, and that will also trap down a number of other drivers that could be dangerous here late in the race that might have a shot to win. It's a bit of a sacrifice to, on behalf of your other teammate, to maybe hand them or make their time to a win a little easier. But back on the lead lap, it is, we'll give you everybody here on the lead lap who's getting ready to go green this time by at lap 109. Clinty, your leader. Then we got Strauss, Pollock, O'Sullivan is battled back onto the lead lap. Penn Van Gastel is in 5th. Julian Altena is in 6th. The top 6 on the lead lap. Jesper Orman, first car, 1 lap down, followed by John Christensen, Steinecker, and Bree. That is your top 10. They are all 1 lap down as well. So a number of cars that could be in the contention for a win still trapped a lap down. But a couple cars have clawed their way back, JJ, in the form of O'Sullivan and Altena.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? It's been an impressive strategy and adjustment to whatever's happened in this race for those two Altena Autosport cars. As you know, we would have said maybe 50 laps ago that this would have been a really tough race for them to.
To the back of the pack car, to the wall. I think we have a missing front wing. It got repaired. Saucier, I believe, was damaged there. I'm not sure who went into the wall. That was Chris Rise. No, that wasn't Chris Wise. I'm not sure who that was, actually.
Everyone seems to be okay. There's one car grazing the wall a little bit. I believe that was Saucier potentially grazing the wall. I could be wrong. But everyone else seems to be making the restart reasonably maintained, reasonably sensible. But what I think has happened with that restart, just as we watched the entire field roar towards us, 250 miles an hour or something. Sorry, not 250 miles an hour, 250 kilometers an hour. Excuse me there. As we see more contact with Strauss.
Oh.
This is really getting tight, boys.
Yeah, that was Charpentier on the restart. I saw get into the wall. Go ahead, Justin.
I was about to say the urgency's picked up, hasn't it, with some of the drivers knowing it's getting harder and harder for their strategies to work out here. We're now 6 total on the lead lap right now. You've got to be able to get loose when it comes to this. You have to be able to think clearly, and right now we have more contact.
This is getting really spicy. This is getting interesting. You know, we've had Matthias Strauss with a little bit of contact.
Fiolis.
And Fiolis as well with a bit of contact.
I see at least a left front on his is flapping away. Yeah, and that is terminal damage. What happened there as they're going 3 wide and just contact with the inside car, running out of real estate. It might have been Katie Polak car there. Just running out of real estate. But that might have been, unfortunately, that might have been the break Jesper Dahlgren was looking for, but exactly what I thought. And let's watch this again. Oh, yeah. And just a number, I'll give a lot of props to the cars behind on that one that could have very easily ended up into the rear attenuator of the car of Fiolis going into that wall.
Yeah, you know what? Fair play to everyone behind to spot that one coming and be able to, you know, leave that as a 1-car incident and not keep us more laps under caution. You know, that's great awareness from all the drivers here, and just, you know, just a great example of how aware you only need to be of not only the cars around you, but, you know, 3, 4, sometimes even 5 or halfway up the field in terms of awareness, just so you can see things coming.
Hey, Justin, what happened exactly what I thought it would, as Jesper Orman is back on the of his teammate Clindy. He's with Clindy is within the draft envelope, but not really hanging super on him. He's getting the benefit of saving some fuel back there, but it's the best of both worlds for Clindy right now. He's got a teammate now on the lead lap, but that teammate's right in front of him, putting a major hole in the air, and Clindy trying to save some fuel all the while, just trying to make that last pit stop of his even shorter.
Yeah, help himself for the later stages, absolutely here. And for everybody else, it's straight on for a lot of cars at least. May as well go out, full out, be able to push, try and sort things out. That's what's happened with O'Sullivan to have this race lead here. And with some of these others in these battles like Polak, for right now, you're talking about the numbers game. You're factoring in for some of these drivers going to be very interesting where they plan out a final stop. I think right now they're just trying to go full out and not afraid to burn up a little bit of tire here to be able to try and get things going, especially since over the course of this race, the track temperature has stayed pretty solid around 91 now, with the clouds going to make it even cooler.
Through the course of the history of the Velocity Online Racing IndyCar Series, only 2 drivers have won here multiple times. Jesper Orman has won here twice. Mark Murphy has won here twice. And that's kind of the same thing. It mirrors the real world. No more than 2 wins for the leading IndyCar winners here. Sam Hornish, Jimmy Vasser, Adrian Fernandez each won 2 races here when IndyCar used to run here. Vasser with both 500-mile wins, Hornish with 2 400-mile lap race wins. Adrian Fernandez was a 500-mile and a 400-mile. And the notable thing about Fernandez, guys, Fernandez won in a kart car, and then he came back later and won a race in the Indy Racing League in the old IRL car. So he won in 2 different types of cars here. But again, this racetrack, even in the sim world, doesn't offer a lot of repeat winners. And the only repeat winners we have here in series history is Jesper Orman or Jesper Dahlgren, who is currently first on the racetrack, but 7th in the standings. And that's defending series champion Mark, or not defending series, I keep saying that, former series champion Mark Murphy, who is not in the lineup today. My partner over at P1 Auto Racing, or P1 Broadcasting, he does the Monday night top split broadcast for us. He is a 2-time champion he's a former champion series, excuse me, 2-time winner here. But guys, I'm looking at O'Sullivan, and he stopped on lap 107, and he is now 24 laps into this run. I suspect he'll be coming to pit road probably another 10 laps from now. He might still need to do this in 2 more stops.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether my timing sheet's right or wrong, but it's saying that O'Sullivan or Tenner are 12 and 11 into their stint respectively. I mean, that could be wrong, and I would most likely go with your statistics, Gary, instead of my own.
But you're right, 12 and 11. You're right. Current stint.
So, yeah, I mean, so that is correct. So, you know, Kyle Clenworth behind them and sort of in the meat in the sandwich. He's 30 into his stint. He's really going to be struggling trying to keep with these guys. And a perfect example of that is Matthias Strauss. He was right at the front of this restart. And a couple of laps I was watching on board with him, and it's just so difficult for him to make the progress. He's been stuck around Julian Artena trying to follow him through for a number of laps now, and the way that he actually lost the place to Julian was as if he had damage or lack of engine power, and that just really shows the emphasis of, for example, 30 laps on Matthias Strauss and his stint and 12 laps on Julian's stint. It's just the difference in performance is so incredible, especially when you sort of get into these later bigger differences. As I'm riding on board with Strauss now, and he can't get to the bottom of the racetrack, and he's defending from his life to not lose the lap down from, I believe that is John Christensen in turquoise and white VOR machine behind him. You can just easily get to the bottom of the racetrack and then swoop back up and just carry that little bit more speed.
Yeah, you are right. Actually, race lap after an update, and they added a new column that I was not expecting to see. But yeah, his previous stint, Liam did 24, but he came to pit road after midway through that stint because of the caution. But Clindy did 41 on that last stint, and that also included some caution as well. He's 32. I suspect that he would be coming to pit road sometime in the next 8 laps or so.
Julian tags the wall exit of turn 4. He's going to he loses the place to Strauss again. So that's going to be a bit of an earache for Julian. He's going to have to engineer his way back past Matthias Strauss, who I mentioned just now is on much older tyres. But we didn't actually notice, but the fight for the lead is actually swapped, and Clenworth now retakes the lead, despite probably needing to come in the pits within the next 10 laps or so.
And Liam O'Sullivan 16 laps into his stint. Strauss 33. He'll be coming to pit road about the same time as Clindy. Altena 15, Pollock 16. So I guess the two to watch up in the lead pack that are going to be on a very similar strategy will be Clindy in first and Strauss in third. And this will get them to, let's see here. We expect them to come to pit road about any time here. Get them in the lap 130-ish. It's still going to put their final stop almost a full stint that they'll need to do right around lap 170 or so, Justin.
Yeah, that still sets up a potential to save a little bit of gas, as in save a little bit of time in the box with how much fuel you put in, maybe, is thought process here. Saucier and all of this, still fighting to get the lap back, also to keep up with the two. Going to be a bit of a factor to this, but all this as well. Drivers like John Christensen, who is a fan of how the setup was before today's race. He's been quiet today. He has a good chance to be able to move into the top 10 here in his blue machine. If he's able to put his cards right and just continue to search for the clean air for the front nose to be able to make sure off the wing it rotates. Problem is actually getting the pass down, because right now the 8 is doing such a good job defending.
Christensen back-to-back podium finishes in Season 8 and Season 9 editions of this race. So he knows how to get to the front. But there we're watching right now on camera, Julian Altena in fourth spot, but back up to the leaders. And we're still looking at a bit of a save and not much racing going on because, well, frankly, they're trying just to get to this next stop to set up this last stop. That's everything they're doing. So we're kind of in these dog day laps right now, JJ, where it doesn't really buy you anything to race real hard at this point, other than maybe wearing out your tires and having you come to pit road a little bit sooner than you want to.
Yeah, it's sort of, that moment in the race where it's sort of, no man's land, sort of not really wanting to do too much, as we see a big send from Saucier to get cement his lap to be retained should we go for a caution. And we've sort of got a similar thing with a slightly different dynamic. We've got two guys who are fighting for position as O'Sullivan decides to move 3 wide, possibly 4 wide into turn 1, regains the lead. Who say thank you very much. Clemworth wants to roll over and let that one happen, as we see a replay from Saucier going to the inside, and the inside again.
It's like a double draft, and I think Jesper went down there to defend a little bit, and Saucier just had a big run, and he's like, nah, I'm not wasting it, I'm going.
Yeah, one person I do want to point out is Fraser Clegg. He's sort of chilling, 1 lap down albeit, but he's sort of sitting in this draft period, not really killing his tires too much, sort of chilling out, maybe saving a little bit of fuel, and should that caution come his way, I think we can see that he sort of rolls the dice and gets back into the game a little bit. But I mean, going back to your original point, the only action that we've sort of really seen is now Henk Jan Stanneke wants to come into the pits.
He spun on the way in. Yes, he did. Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, he grabbed a little bit of the grass. Not so much grip there, especially when you're trying to slow down.
Yeah, grass doesn't really have the suction, and we have an air black flag. The 39 picked up one.
Tim Bree, we know Tim has, he's a former winner in the series. He's at a lot of pace. He comes to pit road and gets a black flag for his scheduled stop, and he did 40 laps on that stint.
Everybody going a little bit too hard to the cone, and that goes right back to a point where you're trying to get every little bit of inch. And right now, that little bit of extra speed has cost 2 different drivers here. By the way, with all of this, Clendy again to the point, but Glenworth, I think, is about to come down. Look at this, way down low.
Yeah, and he looked loose down low off of 1 and 2, and you don't want to be down on the low side with worn tires. With too much weight jacker in these cars, it will spin around on the exit of 1 and 2, but he's down on the apron, bringing Strauss with him for his next to last stop here. Coming down to the cones, you do not want to speed here, and he very conservatively, I think, comes to pit road, and Strauss does the same thing, and it's a wise maneuver. You don't want to do what Scott Dixon did in the Indy 500 a couple years ago and give it away on one of your last couple of pit stops, and that's exactly when he sped coming to pit road and cost him his second Indy 500 win. But here comes Clindy down to his stall, hits his mark. Same thing with Strauss. Strauss slides in. Clindy up on the jacks. Strauss up on the jacks. New set of Firestones. Full tank of Shell Racing Fuel. Down and away in the background. Christensen coming to pit road. Clindy off of pit road first, followed by Strauss. And they're back on the racetrack, but watching on the racetrack right now, it is Liam O'Sullivan right now trying to hold down Jesper Orman a lap. Easier said than done.
Especially with how aggressive he's been here to be able to fight, try and do swap drafting here with these runs. O'Sullivan still go fairways up on the run. You can see, though, the difference. The two is just that dead even down the straightaway. Some of the others, though, in their respective packs, like right here with Van Gassel, right now just using the bottom line to his advantage to be able to rotate through the corner. Clean air, knowing the drivers in front will feed some dirty air, then give the dirty air back to the 97 to force him to lift off the corner.
Tim's having a great run, very quietly, just very, very quietly, up in the top 5 by virtue of just kind of getting on that right strategy and the caution falling at the right time for Tim. And you mentioned it earlier, JJ. Just very quietly. He hasn't been super aggressive, hasn't been passing a lot of cars, but just worked his way up there.
Yeah, exactly. Him and Katie Polak, respectively, up 21 and 26 places. So, sometimes the big moves and the fancy dive bombs and fancy strategies might get you some screen time. It might get you some hype around your name, but it might not get you the result in the end. And to be sat P3 and P4 just without really having too much camera time and screen time really goes to show that they've just had a rather incident-free race and look to be set up for probably maybe one of the more routine strategies, as we've seen the likes of Altena and Dahlgren sort of staying out longer to hold people down, to sort of, help your teammate out and sort of not want to pit and do all that kind of thing. Whereas, sometimes just doing the most simple thing is the most effective.
Battle for third right now. Pollock and Pim Van Gastel.
Yeah, still keeping up here with this. Just keep an eye on Pollock, though, trying to use the outside to defend, and this has been the tough part. Being able to actually get a pass unless there's a mistake from drivers like Polk, and you're able to get a slight job down. Van Gastel, I think, has the speed, though, because Pollock was just too tight originally off 2, but that squeeze is just enough once again to force a side-by-side instead.
I just want to point out how easy Glendy went past both of these guys, and he's going to go around the outside into turn number 1 as well. Says, thank you very much, fellas. I'm going to get on with my job, and you get on with yours. I love that.
It's not going to do those two any good to hold back Clindy. Just let Clindy go. So they're still battling out for 3rd and 4th on the racetrack. Clindy, because of he just basically stopped. He is now 1 lap down in 8th spot. So those guys are just wise to maybe just try to follow Clindy, get in the draft, save some fuel. Have a blinker right behind him. Not sure who that is. Is that Chris Rise? Yeah, Chris Rise blinking, and I think Strauss as well.
Oh yeah, big vanish for Strauss there on my screen.
Yeah.
Just be careful here.
Well, this is going to be a little bit of a terrifying moment once again. You kind of have to give a little bit of extra space just in case. The problem is, if Strauss blinks and say it's within about a half a car length or a quarter of the side pod, who knows if the internet says, bye-bye, here's a wall.
If you're a Trekkie at all, anyone like Star Trek, you know the dangers of when you're in the transporter that you rematerialize inside of something. Very much the same way here in iRacing. When the car rematerializes inside of you, that is an instant wreck. So again, that's what some of this blinking, and then you might try to, you think the car is out of the way, and then it rematerializes right on your front wing. That's when a wreck happens. So dangerous. We say dangerous lightly. I mean, no one is getting physically hurt here, but there's contact going all the way up to the racetrack. Katie Pollock forces Strauss up there. Strauss with just a little bit of a kiss against the wall, but now we're going to go 3 wide in the corners. Pim is going to have all the momentum on the bottom side. And we almost had a moment. Katie just slides right up in front of Strauss. Strauss is probably like, come on, man.
Yeah, look at the replay, though. You see that little bit of an edge to the side pod. In the end, Strauss lucky he didn't scrape into the wall with the contact, then it just boiled over with the 3 wide you were referring to, Gary.
Just sliding up. Oh. And at some point in the race, you're like, come on, man. We're 142 laps into this thing. We can see the end almost. Let's get to the end. And again, Strauss, again, not racing for, and Pollock into the wall again off of 4. Yeah. Strauss is only racing for track position, not racing for position on the timing sheet. So it just might be good for Pollock just to let Strauss go.
Yeah, I think this is Pollock just getting maybe slightly frustrated, because once you sort of get into that region where the grip's fallen away from you and you've got cars that are on fresher tyres behind you, sometimes you get caught into the mental trap of, okay, I'm going to push to keep with them, but because you push the tyre harder and it's not got the grip to keep you there, you overheat the tyre, and as you give the tyre more thermal grip, you're going to slide more, and because you slide it more, you're going to give it more thermal heat, which makes the tyre just degrade more, and then it's just a horrible snowball effect. And I think that's what we've seen, especially there with Pollock just trying to keep ahead of Matthias Strauss, and unfortunately just can't quite overcome the deficit of the tyres, and now finds herself not only behind Matthias Strauss but behind Pim as well, by what looks like to be a good 7 or so car lengths.
Liam O'Sullivan coming to pit road, and he locks it up right at the cones right now, and he is coming for a scheduled stop. He'll need one more after this, for sure. One more after this, probably near lap 180 or so. So this is his next to last stop.
Right now, the others, I think, just have to go as far as they can here. Still 38, 39 laps for the others. Lieutenant, we know, has been good at fuel saving all day long. We've seen him just be quiet, keeping it calm. For the most part, just not pushing and overexerting these Firestones to make sure there's a chance to perform for this part of the race. Right now, Fontana has been playing this very well. We have another black flag, another entry black flag.
Black flag on entry, and that is going to take another one of our front runners out of the running, as they will get a 40-second hold, and we'll watch the replay. JJ, you gotta hate it.
This is sort of the opposite of what we've seen in previous instances, isn't it? You know, we've seen before guys locking the front tires and then going over the limit. Want to spin, but I'm not pressing the brake hard enough, so I'm going to speed anyway. And, you know, either way, you know, no result is what you want. But if I was to choose one of them...
Well, I'm not sure where it is.
88 in turn 4.
Miriani.
Yeah, and
and they're coming to pit. We'll get the replay on it here, but this is the dangers of coming in. Oh, big twitch coming down onto pit road into turn 4. Big twitch there, caught it. An innocent slide to the inside, but that's going to be enough to bring the field to caution. And this is going to be interesting. I think everyone's going to come to pit road, with the exception of those that just stopped. But I don't think they're going to be able to make it with this last stop. Everybody, it's going to be probably less than 20 to go. Everyone's going to be making the final stop. So, Justin, maybe what do you do on this last stint here? You come to pit road, get it taken care of, and maybe go halfway through and then come to pit road early, and then to finish off your race at that point?
Wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people do that, actually, because you have a lighter car and in turn be able to carry more speed on your final stint. So there is that strong chance. I think it wouldn't be a shock at whatsoever. Some of the other drivers might wait a little bit longer and take a shorter stop. Let's say at the 20 to go compared to, say, a 30 to go stop. It all really depends here. And the thing is, only 2 cars are on the lead lap with the timing of this. With everybody essentially in a box here, there's a chance for a lot of wave arounds, though, like Glendy here.
Yeah, Clindy only 15 laps into his stint. Same thing with Strauss. They will stay out, I'm sure. Your leader, Julian, and I'll go back to a point that you and I were talking about, JJ, earlier. Remember at the beginning of this race, we saw Julian drop to the back, save fuel, stay out of the way of everyone's wanting to run to the front, just run a safe race. He is now your leader. He's going to come to pit road for his next to last stop. He's going to have to stop, though, late in this race. Even with a massive fuel save, I don't think he can save 12-plus laps of fuel outside of just having a lot of cautions. And maybe he's hoping for a caution here after this, another immediate caution on this restart. But he's going to have to come to pit road, and he's going to have to stop again, JJ.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of frustrated drivers out there. One of probably being Fontana, saying, why couldn't this have come just a little bit later? I could have had 2 more laps or so of fuel, and that then opens the window that they can then potentially stretch that to if there's another caution between now and the end of the race. But this caution doesn't really benefit anyone, as it's not in the window of however many laps to go, and we can safely say that the average stint is probably 39 to 42 laps. So we're not really going to see anyone on a fuel save race to the end, which is going to make things a lot more interesting. But what we will see is drivers who will need longer stops than others towards the end of this race. So that's sort of where the action will sort of play out, Justin.
Exactly, and this is now becoming a fuel math game for a lot of the others, absolutely, in terms of sequencing, to be able to sort things out. So this works perfectly if you're on the lead lap. That's all I'm going to really say to that. But if you're amongst those on the waves or amongst those that are going to have a nervous time, well, this is going to be really interesting the rest of the way. A few more wave rounds at this point, but
a whole bunch of wave rounds.
Yeah,
Strauss getting the wave around, Liam O'Sullivan getting the wave around. I think Jesper Orman will get Dahlgren will get the wave around. Clegg will get the wave around, I think, as they're passing the pace car right now. Julian was well deep into the pack. He came to pit road as your leader and will leave pit road as your leader. If you're just joining us, this is Velocity Online Racing's coverage of season 15 of the VOR IndyCar Championship, coming to you from Auto Club Speedway in Fontana for the 11th running of the California 400, where we have 51 laps to go, the scheduled 200-lap race. Make sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the next race. We'll talk about those here in a little bit, but we're going to reset the field here as Julian is your leader, and followed by Pim Van Gastel, second on the racetrack. Very quietly has worked up to second. Clindy now has worked his way back onto the lead lap. He is third, but he did so also by coming to pit road. So he refreshed himself. He is third on the racetrack. Then we got Strauss in fourth, Liam O'Sullivan fifth, Jesper Orman sixth, and Fraser Clegg in seventh. Top 7 on the lead lap, and all those 7 really with the pace all day, and we could be in for a heck of a finish here at Fontana at Auto Club Speedway, Justin, and a racetrack that we rarely see anything but photo finishes here.
It'll be a wild ending as we're back underway already, getting some side-by-side built up. Van Gastel on the inside. Here comes the run from the 7, Saucier. This is not for the lead. Saucier amongst those still pinned as a result of the time of the caution flags. Going to make things all the more interesting as Clendy's already going for the lead, coming up here for the outside. Almost thought he was going to force it there with the way Clendy was coming up with the run there, but at this point, that's already that big charge somehow was able to take the stop, maintain the lead lap, and now gets himself the lead.
Again, Clindy going to the bottom, and I think everybody they just need to run as hard as possible. There is no fuel save here. Oh, coming off almost wheel to wheel with Saucier coming off at 2. But the meeting of the minds don't quite make the connection coming off the corner, and they are still racing for, this is just to get back on the lead lap for Saucier. Remember, Saucier got that speeding on pit road, so he has fought his way back. And if he gets another immediate caution, he'll go to the back of the pack. But here comes Liam O'Sullivan to the inside of Clindy. This is the battle for first going into turns 1 and 2. And again, I think everybody just might as well full send it here because a fuel save is not going to do you any good, really.
Yeah, he set that one up from miles back. He set that one up into turn 3 the previous lap. I'm watching a few cars behind, and I could see the switch that he did from the outside line to the inside line. Went all the way down to the bottom of the racetrack, made sure that he made that inside line his, and he's now slid up right in front of Saucier, and he's got the lead back. But for how long, as we now see Julian and Saucier looking to the inside? We've got 3 wide into turn 1. O'Sullivan thinks better of it, chooses the super high line to just keep the clean air over the front wing of that car. And you know, he's going to need to start looking at his rear view mirror a little bit more, as we've got Clenworth now sort of wanting to get a little bit more involved, and Pim as well. Gut instinct tells me Pim's going to sort of
Look, Pim almost in the back of Clindy. Clindy had to check up. There was contact there with Saucier and Julian saves it, but it was almost an accordion all the way back to Pim Van Gastel, and that could have been big for our defending series champion, who's in the running for the win now. He almost had Pim Van Gastel as a backseater in an F-14 Tomcat.
Oh my goodness. All you can say is Clundy is lucky. He checked up perfect, made sure there wasn't contact. That's a lot. Funnily enough, I'll take a gain time from that. I am stunned with how big this cushion is. I don't know how they're going to close back up, but that was special. That was about a 99 out of 100 in accident. We just got the 100 incidents where we did not get a crash from it.
Watching the replay here, and they just touch Julian. Just kind of, they're going for the same piece, and then he rolls out of it. Clindy's at full throttle. He had the roll out of it, and then Pim's at full throttle, and he has the roll out of it. And the big loser there actually is Pim.
Yeah, you know, that was not necessarily intentional by Fontana at all. That was just him potentially slightly misjudging where the wake of O'Sullivan in front would be, and probably caught a little bit too much at the wrong time, which meant he needed to sort of slow up. He needed to lift out of it to regain that front traction. And you know, we saw it with the very first caution in this race. It was almost a copy and paste, although this time luckily we have no caution to come from it. But it's so easy to have these sort of accidents creep up on you on random moments when these guys are pushing so hard to get every ounce of performance and use up every little ounce of clean air that they can to try and gain the track position when they're in what seems to be at the moment a straight dogfight with no saving right to the checker flag.
Justin, we got teammates up at the front, and they are starting to put a little bit of distance on themselves and Clindy. Clindy kind of at the tail end of that draft envelope at 1.4 seconds. The draft envelope on these cars about 1.5. If Liam and Julian can get an extra tenth of a second, which they are at right now, provided there is no other cautions in this race, it could be between these two as they broken the draft envelope back to Clindy, and all they have to do is get to this last pit stop of theirs.
Yeah, this is working perfectly. That checkup caused all the packs to discombobulate here, and now they get to do the perfect thing. One driver keeps it fully pinned for the corner entry, then they swap around for the apex, then it carries momentum for the next straightaway. You follow the slipstream, take the driver with the most momentum, switch them up to the front, go from there. You just continue to propel forward momentum. This is exactly the type of racing you expect from teammates, and this is the exact type of racing that is playing out to why this advantage is growing like it is a little bit. Although, Clendy down the back is gaining a fair bit, it's the front that's the difference.
The front, of course, that's your longest part of racetrack that the draft is going to benefit you the most. And that's where the draft is escaping him right now. As we see by my clock, he is 1.6 behind O'Sullivan, so that puts him out of the draft envelope.
Yeah, just looking at the lap times from recent laps, I mean, Clenworth is sort of staying within range. You know, they're not pulling away an outstanding amount, although the last time round was a 33.7 for O'Sullivan, a 33.4 for Fontana, and then another 33.7 for Clenworth. So it's only one car that's sort of quicker, but as you say, that slingshot effect, you're sort of, you know, hoisting the guy behind you that little bit further up the circuit, and then it sort of picks up that way. You won't be able to tell it perfectly from the timing sheets because there'll always be one car that will be lapping roughly the same as the guy in third, but it will be, as you say, down that front straight where they'll be able to use the draft for that advantage. And we're sort of seeing a little bit of a gap sort of start to form now between the top 2 and third place.
Well, Julian slides up into the wall off a 3 and 4, and that's going to, they're swapping the lead anyways, but that's going to lose a little bit of momentum and give the lead back to Liam as he actually kind of pulls away a little bit as Julian's back 3/10 now.
Yeah, a little bit tight. Keep in mind, that has allowed Clendy to gain back a little bit more with the breakaway. An opportunity to be able to go, and we hear a meatball flag just got picked up here by Ortiz.
And it might have been a big smack of the wall.
Yeah, I'm gonna put my money on a big tap of the wall here. There it is. Boom.
That is, we've heard the term tank slapper, although tanks are pretty much impervious to damage. No, that is a damaging tank slapper. That is more than a kiss. That is a good smack.
It's almost like he did it out of sympathy for, I didn't quite catch who that was in front of him, but just couldn't get out of that dirty air, and they both just found the wall, simultaneously.
Yeah, sometimes you're following that car too closely in front of you. I mean, you're mirroring their line too closely, and sometimes that car in front of you goes up into the wall, and you just can't help yourself. You just kind of follow them up in the wall, and then after you smack the wall, you ask yourself, what was I thinking? JJ, yeah, I'm sure you've had that happen before on oval racing. It's just like, I'm going to follow this guy in front of me, and then the next thing is I'm hypnotized and I'm in the wall.
Yeah, it's the dice up between, do I need to tap the brake and save it, or do I gamble and sort of, I know I'm going to hit the wall, but, I'm going to gamble it and see if I don't take any damage, because if I tap the brake, there's a huge chance that, the accordion effect from that will be so much that it's just sort of ground that you find very difficult to gain back again. And I think that's sort of what we saw there. And unfortunately, the tank slapper was quite a large tank slapper from what we saw and caused that meatball.
Speaking of tank slapping, then we saw Julian get into the wall a little bit off of 4, and that cost him momentum, and then that allowed Clendy to catch back up. Clendy fighting for the position on the high side has now caught that group again. I'm wondering, is it possible Julian's a little damaged from that smack, or is it just because the total loss of momentum is just really allowed third and fourth to get right back into this battle? I think it's a little from column A and a little from column B, Justin.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. I think maybe it scraped a little bit to cause some damage in terms of the side of the car. That might be that 6-second variety, but also just ended up losing that toe that carried him forward so much before. Now at this point for Glenworth, it's an opportunity to be able to charge, and right now he's using the hybrid system, I think, as well, down this front straightaway to really dig here. He almost washed up into the wall. He was pushing so hard to the apex.
So if we go back to what we learned from Indianapolis, JJ, from the hybrid, Glendy was able to use the hybrid 2 times a lap. Actually, 2 times on the straightaway. It was off the corner, then regenerate, and then you were able to hit it one more time, kind of going into the corner. Smaller racetrack by a half mile here at Fontana, but I would imagine it's much the same. I certainly think you could use it twice on the front straight, certainly once on the backstretch, but where on the backstretch where you want to use it? Do you want to use it coming off the corner or going into turns 3 and 4, or do you want to be maybe in the middle of the straightaway and just be regenning for 3 so you could use it off of 4 and then use it twice on the front stretch? There's so many things to do now with this hybrid.
I think that's where it sort of comes down to feel and talent and where you want to sort of make your move. I mean, you might be in a scenario where it will benefit you to use it later on in the straight. It might be a situation where it benefits you to use it at the start of the straight. It's just a thing that drivers need to figure out, and of course it's a new tactical thing as Glendy completely slides up the racetrack and chops the nose off of Saucier just to say, no thank you, I want another crack at the lead, you're not getting involved, please just sit behind me. But 100%. It's going to be, I think, just situation-based, as Julian really is slow off of 4. Maybe there is a little bit of damage to that car, and he is going to lose a place to Jesper Dahlgren. That's not a name we've mentioned in a while. Look who we have coming back up through the back, guys. He's sort of been out of it for the best part of 60 laps, but, you know, you can never count him out, can you?
Doesn't matter where you are at lap 200 or 200 miles. Doesn't matter where you're at 300 miles. It matters where you are at 400 miles in this race. As Mateus Strauss, he is coming to pit road right now for that final stop, as he is down on the apron, and now he's down on the flat on pit road, down to the 55-mile-per-hour speed limit at the cones. Now he's pointed down pit road, looking for his stall at the far end for the final stop. And this is going to be a little bit early, so it's going to be a little bit more of a full fuel feel for him. Easy for me to say, Justin, but this won't be a quick stop for him, because he's going to need more fuel on board than everyone else will when they come to pit road.
Yeah, this might be a 1-2 second difference here, and it's a recovery and a half for Strauss, remember, from that first caution crash. Having it come down, get the front nose fixed under the restart. This stop, 8.8 seconds. Everybody else can go more, 7.58 seconds on the dot here. There's a lot more opportunity to save for this later stage coming up.
It's going to be really important to see where he actually comes out of the pits, because if he gets caught up in traffic that's, you know, trying to fight for position, and it looks like he comes out, where is that?
Pretty clean.
I would say it's pretty clean, so that's very good for him. He'll be able to sort of get the hammer down and sort of make some good progress, because the last thing you want is to be forced into an earlier pit stop and you come out right in the middle of a fight for something like, I don't know, 15th place, and you're like, guys, I just want to get through, you know, I'm not fighting, you just let me past. And because there's no blue flags until 10 to go, they don't have to do that. It's your job to find your way through with the fresher tires, and that can cost you so much time.
Yeah, and he actually has a car in front of him that is within the draft. He's in the draft envelope, so he's going to be able to use that draft to kind of help him with some higher end top speed. But on pit road, Christensen right now, he's opting for his final stop. The window is open to get to the end. Certainly, it's safe to go to get to the end. Anything less than 30. We are 26 to go here at California for the 11th running of the California 400 here, part of the opener of season 15 of the Velocity Online Racing IndyCar Championship. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Join us next week when we do our first road course race of the season, and it's probably our most challenging road course race for the inaugural Grand Prix of Mexico City. That's next week, 2 p.m. Eastern time, right here on the Velocity Online Racing channel. First road course, first of 3 road course races this season, or first of 3 road course visits this season. The next 2 road courses after Michigan, I always said Michigan City, Mexico City, we're doing 2 sprints at Road America and 2 sprints at Sebring. So that's going to open up more opportunities for the road course veterans here to get some opportunities in the championship that normally they wouldn't get on the schedule. But back up front, here comes Jesper Orman to the bottom, and we got a 3-man dogfight plus a 1, and Saucier, he's your +1 up there, who's trying to get back on the lead lap. This is a battle for first place here for this 400-mile, and just a little behind them, and we think maybe just dogging a little bit because of damage possibly is Julian Altena. He is right back in this battle by virtue of the draft, Justin, but we don't know if he might have possible damage, but we suspect any of these guys coming to pit road anytime, final stops.
Yeah, it becomes the question, do you try and short pit right now, give yourself a runway at around, say, 20 laps to go, or do you run it dry, take the quick stop, and hope you cycle for the best on your said pit stop? It looks like for O'Sullivan, he's going for the short fuel. He's coming in this time. Watch for the cut. He just pressed the pit button.
You know what? That's a really interesting play from O'Sullivan, and it's something that I've been thinking about while you were speaking there, Gary and Justin. You know, I've been looking at the stint counter. No one is coming in at the same time. Bar, actually, that's a lie. Klimworth and Altena are on the same laps. But apart from that, we're going to sort of have, who was it? It was Mateus Strauss who came in first, right? So he's going to be sort of our benchmark. And we're going to have cars feeding into that as we go along in this race. They're not all going to pit in once, and they're all going to pit out at the same time and come out together. So we're going to have two, as Jesper now comes into the pits as well, we're going to have two groups sort of fighting it out, and it's whether they continue to fight or whether they go, guys, let's just try and jump this other group so that we can just fight it amongst ourselves with the last 5 or so laps left.
And Strauss, I'm watching Strauss here, and Strauss gets by Liam O'Sullivan.
I was about to say.
Jumps him big.
Yeah, big opportunity for Strauss here. But Jesper was about to say, took the lead right before the pit stop. He's now right in the hunt of things. Going to be important how the Delta fares out this time through, especially with Glenwood preoccupied. 8.1, 8.4 for the 2 machine. A little bit quicker than Strauss.
Here comes Strauss. Strauss is on the front straight. There go the leaders. Got him. And not just got him, got him.
Yeah. Quite a long way, actually, I think. So it's interesting. The undercut seems to be working an incredible amount. And, you know, if any of these boys have spotters with them in their respective Discord calls or team speaks, they're going to be, you know, we need to go now.
And Jesper got Liam by a pretty good margin as well. Although Liam now is in the draft envelope, he might reel that in. But Jesper is next in the lineup, so we're going to see who here is going to come to pit road next. Is it Clindy? Is it Julian? Is it Pim? Is it Clegg? I gotta think some of these people, as you mentioned, if you had someone working data for you, you mentioned it, JJ, but Justin, you got to get the pit road now. Get the pit road now. Don't waste any more time. That undercut apparently is the way to go.
And that runway difference is the big one. Now the other difference is going to be where the 20 and the 2 are going to fare out with the tire difference. So Sullivan also. But all of this as well, you see them try and swap around right now. A little bit of trap for Sullivan. Sullivan's just got that quicker runway tempo. They were dead even on the pit stops. 32-2 or 32.8 last time by. The leaders were 33.8. Big difference.
They got to be seeing that, and they got to. I would imagine they got to come to pit. Someone's got to be seeing that. They're coming to pit road, and Strauss is to Clindy right now, so he might get his lap back, not artificially, but he might actually do it on the racetrack.
You know what's just dawned on me is potentially what these guys are doing, staying out, is they're taking the brunt of track position now, but possibly if you're a Pim van Gastel or as Clindy, as you say, comes into pit road to make his final stop, but if you're a Van Gastel or a Bryce Saucier, you're going to let the guys use their tyres first, right? They're going to be squabbling towards the end of this race, and potentially they're going into it with the mentality of, I'm going to have fresh boots on. I'm going to be able to utilize that bottom side of the circuit a lot more than you are, so potentially it could be a walk in a park. We just don't know.
16 to go. Julian Altena, your leader. Clindy coming to pit road for his final stop right now. We're going to see how long Julian is going to. Pim van Gastel coming to pit road this time, I believe. We're going to see how long Julian stays out. So one of my broadcast partners that I work with on Tuesday nights for the IndyCar Oval Series, Tuesday night top split. And he's a former winner here in the Velocity Online Racing Series at this racetrack, Luis Gonzalez Nunez. He always said, I don't do the undercut. I just come when the tank is dry. And it's a shorter fill, and that way you don't come to pit road and you don't have anyone undercut you or overcut you or anything like that. Just go when the tank is dry. That seems like that's kind of what Julian is doing here. He's going to come in when the tank is dry.
Yeah, just waiting to see where it cycles, especially since the other drivers like Clegg have come in, Van Gastel's already come in, Saucier was around there, has already come down. But, oh my goodness, that was treacherous. How in the world did Saucier not bin it again?
That is perfection if I've ever seen it. What a save. I'm sure it wouldn't be the fastest entry we've seen today, but definitely the most impressive. I'm sure he'll gain some fans for that one. My word, what car control. Fair play to him.
Oh, don't look now, guys, though. That gap is gone for Strauss. This was the concern about the undercut that I was coming to the back of my head. The tires, that difference, half a second a lap. O'Sullivan is lying and is ready to pounce.
It's not like the track temp is up. I mean, it's not like the deg's that bad. It just doesn't look like that the added weight of the hybrid here is making these tires friendly. And there goes Liam O'Sullivan to the lead. So the undercut works in the short run, but it only works. I guess. It's only about 16 laps into this thing, and we're cautioned.
Oh my goodness. This is huge. Another incident for the 88. And this was right with the leader pit.
Oh.
Just. Oh my goodness.
Watch as he comes across the grass here, and he's like, "Oh, I want to rejoin," and he gets on the grass, gets on the power early, and does the wheel spin, and almost comes right up into the leaders, and that was enough for even iRacing to go, "Okay, caution, okay, caution."
Yeah.
At that point, it's like, I'm not even sure what to say. That is absolutely stunning. He is absolutely lucky he didn't collect 3-4 cars there.
I agree. I mean, unfortunately, though, this means probably a nail in the coffin for the likes of Chris Rise. He's 39 laps into his stint. He won't be able to make it to the end, I don't think, considering we have 12 laps left. He's sat in P6, so I think he's going to have to go into the pits and then drop to the rear of the field, and it's going to be some tall order for him to come back through and get a decent result for him. So that's going to be incredibly frustrating.
Liam O'Sullivan, he made a late second decision to come to pit road. You can pit under caution. You can pit off of 4. And he made a late dive down pit road. He's on pit road right now. I believe I'm hearing that there is some confusion on the pace car because of where the caution came out. It's picked up Clindy. He's in 5th. But I think it's one of those situations when the caution came out and where the car that happened when the caution came out was like right around the start-finish line. It's kind of one of those situations we've seen that at the start of a race, green flag comes out and we instantly go to caution and part of the field hasn't crossed the start-finish line, the other part has. I think we're kind of one of those situations here where we're trying to figure out what's going on, but the pace car, I believe, has picked up Clindy, who's in 5th spot, but he's coming down pit lane anyways. He's going to go for a new set of shoes to just send it here in the last inside of 10 laps. Julian came to pit road as your leader, and he is stuck well back in behind the pace car. A bunch of cars will get the wave around.
It looks like Jesper Dahlgren is making the decision to go to pit lane as well. He's committed early to the bottom of the apron, so not trying to pull any tomfoolery stuff that you sometimes see on the ovals with guys going down to the inside and then at the last minute going, you know what, I'm actually not going to go down pit road, and then do a rather erratic swerve back to the outside. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I've been guilty of giving that a try 1 or 2 times and with mixed success.
I call it the pump fake, just like in basketball. It's a pump fake. And, well, Jesper coming in, so no pump fake for Jesper there.
Yeah, I mean,
black flag for Jesper Orman too, but I don't know if these might get cleared. So we'll see if those get cleared out here. But Julian is your leader. Now, Liam O'Sullivan. Okay, Julian's the leader. Liam O'Sullivan, I kind of came up to give him a head nod or whatever. He is second. Matthias Strauss stays out. No, he did come to pit road, so he went for a new set of tires. So everybody up front, including Jesper, going for a new set of shoes. So everybody up front is basically going to be dead set even on new tires and fuel.
This is going to be quite the dogfight, Justin.
Yeah, this is going to be wild. They had to come down because the 10-lap difference would have eaten them alive with what we just seen with the difference with the 28 and everyone else. And
so the last couple of races here, season 13, 2900s, season 11, 200s, season 10, 2500s, season 9, 15, season 6, 4400s, season 5, 3200s. Those are the last 5 or 6 races here that we've had at this racetrack, and that is the margin of victory that I just read off. Nothing more than 55 hundredths of a second, 44 hundredths of a second, excuse me. So we're getting ready to go green. Can we see something closer? Can we see something bigger? Here we go, green flag with less than 10 to go for the opener of season 15. Green flag is out. Julian, your leader. Liam O'Sullivan goes to the inside, and bringing him right with him is Matthias Strauss.
Got a better launch already, taking away the inside. Remember the issues we've seen with the 11 earlier. Now can O'Sullivan run because Strauss, he's looking to fly and try and get this job done quick with the pole around the 11.
Jesper Dahlgren's already overtaken 3 cars. He's definitely making it clear his intentions here as he tries to make his charge to the front. But it's going to be extremely difficult to try and keep the cars behind you. I mean, at what point with the 2 VOR cars, Fontana Autosport cars, P1 and 2, at what point do you say, okay, every man for himself?
Christensen and Carpentier need to get out of the way with less than 10 to go to let the leaders on by, and they do. And that allows Jesper to move on by. As we are now 8 to go. Leader is Altena in the middle of the backstretch. Off the corner. Do we go caution? I don't think we go caution yet.
Keeps it under control.
They're trying to. Chapatia did go around to the back of the field, but it's still side by side with the lead. Clendy getting squeezed. Here comes O'Sullivan.
Lindy staying up high. We got Liam O'Sullivan going to take the middle lane. Julian's going to go down low, get the lead off the corner. Right with him is Strauss, and just lurking in the back is Jesper. But Clindy dives down low, and he goes for the lead in 3 and 4, and he slides up in front of Julian. Julian's going to stay down there. Now he gets up back behind him, coming to 6 to go. 12 miles here at Auto Club.
I'm wary, guys. Matthias is blinking out. He's look at him. He's not there. Now he is. Now he's not. Now he's there. I reckon this could be a potential recipe for disaster. We need to watch out for that. And the guys around him are definitely going to clock onto that. And, you know, it could be good for him. It could not be good for him. But, you know, it's such a liability when you have someone where you don't know where he is.
Just like that. Exactly. Just like that. We almost saw contact between him and Orman. Here we go into turn 3 and 4, and those two are going to go side by side. And Dahlgren actually now needs to get on by so he can stay in the draft with his teammates. So we got Altena Autosports versus Rogue Racing 2-on-2 tag team match in the main event here in the closing stages. 5 to go at Auto Club.
Still not done though. O'Sullivan going to have to figure out a way to get this run by the time they get to the start and finish line to plot and plan. It's about getting some test runs done. But here it comes, Jesper taking it 3 wide again. That checks everybody up with Clenworth covered up the top.
When do the gloves come off for these teammates? I would imagine there's a little bit more cooperation to go, but when do the gloves come off? Does it go white flag? Does it go 2 to go? At some point, friends are no longer your friends. It's everybody for themselves. Do we still have cooperation up front? Or are we going to have everybody out for themselves? Mano a mano. And it turns into a tag team match, into a tornado tag team match. 4-way. Here we go. Coming to 3 to go. Julian, your leader. Dahlgren second. O'Sullivan third. And here comes Clindy. We're in diamond formation going into 1 and 2.
Dahlgren trying to defend right now in the middle of the racetrack. Keep an eye on this run, though, for O'Sullivan, though. Set something up for the front straightaway with these two holding each other back. It almost looks like O'Sullivan is thinking about it, but doesn't want to risk a move in case he makes it to where he gets stuck on the bottom here with Clendy.
I mean, the 2 to go.
Stress here, guys. He's sort of lurking in the background, and I reckon if something were to kick off, if a checkup were to happen, Matthias Strauss is in that perfect position to just pick up the pieces, say thank you very much, and walk off with a win. But you know, with the caliber of driver at the front end of this field, as we got more taps on the outside wall, everyone is using every inch of their entry fee. No one is leaving anything out on circuit, as we see Altena and Clendy giving a hip and a budge and an elbow and you name it as he tags the wall.
Julian! So now it's going to come down between Orman and O'Sullivan. White flag in the air, I believe, and we got 2 miles to go here at Auto Club Speedway in the opener. Season 15, and it's going to come down just like every other race here, down to a photo finish off of 2, side by side. Orman down low, O'Sullivan up high, and I got to believe O'Sullivan's going to have the momentum on the high side. Orman wants to force him up a little bit. 3 and 4 for the final time. The turn from home Checkered flag is out. Orman to the front. He's going to go to the bottom. Here we go at the line. Orman.
My word, what a finish. This place never seems to disappoint.
Wow. A close finish. My goodness, I almost thought O'Sullivan would have had the pole because the outside has prevailed down the front. It was just that little bit of an edge with the check up towards the line. I think that was the difference.
And we have, just to be clear, unofficial standings, unofficial results, just like the old USAC days at the Indy 500. But just take those with a grain of salt. They could change, but a little bit of wheel banging between teammates coming off of quarter 3 and 4. As Jesper Dahlgren, Jesper Orman, the two-time champion of this series, all-time winner in the Velocity Online Racing IndyCar Championship, gets another win, 400 miles at Auto Club Speedway by 11 hundredths of a second. 11 hundredths of a second. That's 0.011. That is your margin of victory. And again, much like the last 6 races here, pretty standard fare. Another close finish here to open the season.
Just a dramatic drag race once again. Remember, he originally took that different strategy to pin much of the field a lap down. That set the tone and took a lot of people out of contention since they had to fight all race long just to have a chance to get a lap. And it really solidified what ended up being a strong team play. A team won 3 here to take the checker.
This is
you know what I said about Matthias Strauss? Just sort of chilling out in the background. He actually managed to pick off Julian Artena by the end, so he comes home in a very respectable 4th, considering where he was at the first caution, like you said, Gary, with having to get his front nose cone replaced from what would have been an unsavable weekend to a top 4 is a rather respectable drive from him as well.
Yeah, kind of with all that extra excitement, you almost got to feel like a win here. This is the 20th victory for Jesper Dahlgren, the former Jesper Orman. And let's get the results up on the screen and read through the final results here for this 400-mile event at Auto Club Speedway, the former Auto Club Speedway at the foot of the San Gabriel Mountains there. And there you got it. Jesper Orman with the win, 20th career win here in the Velocity Online Racing IndyCar Championship. Liam O'Sullivan, so close to another win here, comes home second. Clindy, defending series champion, starting defense of his series championship with a good, solid finish, 3rd here. Podium, that's going to bode well for him. I'm sure he's going to enjoy that to start his campaign. Then we got Strauss, as you mentioned, with a good fight to come back to 4th. Julian Altena in 5th. Then we got Fraser Clegg, who, started his first race here, kind of an unknown coming into this series. And a rookie in the series, comes home 6th, top 10. That's a great way to start your Velocity Online racing career, with a top 10 finish in a very long race and a very challenging race here for season 15. Pim Van Gastel, as high as actually led some laps here today, comes home 7th. Saucier, man, if it just wasn't for speeding on pit road, probably could have been a bit of a different day for Bryce. Comes home 8th. Christensen, another top 10 for 44 Nation. He comes home in 9th, and Patrick Silvazzi very quietly comes home in the 10th position. Moving on to the next page. We got HJS coming home 11th. Tim Bree very quietly in 12th. Muriani with an adventuresome day in 13th. Dufresne in 14th. Rice 15th. Ortiz 16th. Danich, Charpentier, Stock, and Pollock, your top 20. And then wrapping up the remainder of this, we had a nice size field today, folks. I want to thank everybody that showed up on a Saturday here. Fiolis, Law, Palawuda, and hopefully again I'm saying that right. Smith, Siders, Brewer, Soto, Evtink, Ingrave, and Conhart in that earlier incident. The first caution of today, that is your top 30 right now, and I believe that is our final page. I don't think we had any more than 30. No, actually we did, but I don't think that they actually started the race. We got show us Luis Nunez and Enrique in 31st and 32nd, but I don't think they actually took the green flag for one reason or another, so they might not get credit for those. So just consider these unofficial, by the way. So let's bring down Clindy, and we'll turn this over to JJ to talk to Clindy and get his thoughts on coming home third for our defending series champion. Go ahead, JJ.
Well, Kyle, what a last few laps that was. What's your sort of perspective on that rather hectic sprint to the finish you had to deal with there?
Yeah, absolutely. A bunch of chaos between Julian getting the cautions all to fall his way, which was pretty cool for him. And then getting the lucky dog instead of being on the lead lap when I had clearly passed him before the yellow came out. Just iRacing really needs to work on that. I know that the lead can't really do much about it. It's just unfortunate that timing and scoring doesn't work a lot of the time because I had clearly passed him and I got picked up as the leader when I was not. It deprived a lot of cars the ability to wave around or the next car one lap down to get the lucky dog, which I believe was Bryce. And he had fought clean and hard, like exceptionally hard all race long to get in that position. And I was given it instead because the game cannot process where cars are correctly during a pit cycle, apparently. So it's just unfortunate that has to happen. And that, we pay a lot of money for an incredible service and then it doesn't get everything right when that seems like if car A is ahead of car B or car B was like clearly stopped, like why can the pace car simply not pick up the leader, right? That's just really unexplainable to me. So other than that, I took advantage of Julian's restart rules for the first time ever and put myself from 10th after getting that lucky dog to 3rd after one lap. And then it was all, gloves off from there. We raced as clean as we could. And, despite having to lift a couple times to not get cleaned out by Julian, coming home 3rd is about the best I could hope for.
Yeah, I mean, I especially noticed around sort of the halfway point before we had the massive cautions. It sort of seemed you and your teammate Jesper were sort of seemed to be really in control of this one, a little bit like it was for the last time that I covered you guys at GIC at Indianapolis a few weeks ago, and it sort of seems to be a reoccurring thing where you guys are able to, get your head in the game super quickly and gain control of these races. And, I'm sure that unfortunately it didn't go the way that you planned to this time through uncontrollable.
First and third is amazing, JJ. Don't get me wrong. I'm just lamenting that the pace car is not correct. But yeah, watch me on road courses. I'll be nowhere. So it was all Jesper's strategy to pare the lead lap down to 5 cars, whatever, by splitting the stay and the pit, because we weren't really cutting a stop. We were on the same strategy, just one would be on extreme undercut and one would be on extreme overcut, and we only had to deal with 4 or 5 more cars on the lead lap at that point. So it was a pretty good decision from him to do that. It just put us all on different sides of the coin the rest of the race, and hopefully you guys in the booth weren't too confused about all 6 different strategies that happened in this race.
Yeah, it was, in all honesty, it was a little bit confusing compared to normal, but I'm, in awe of all of you guys that can drive these cars at north of 300 kilometers an hour and still manage to play a chess game and almost, it's like flying a plane at the same time. So, my hats off go to you and Jesper and Liam, the top 3, as well as, the rest of the guys that were up there fighting with you for this one. But, to sort of round things off, good start to the championship all in all, despite a little bit of, not the ideal result. And as you say, a road course coming up next are probably not your strongest point, but, what are the plans? Where do you think you can next strike big?
If I can get as many incident points next week as I did today, I'll be in great shape. So that is my goal for next week. And then to podium every oval, right? That's basically my job in order to try to defend my title. So every oval, watch out for me. On the road courses, watch out for me, but for a different reason.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Kyle. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I'm sure we'll be meeting each other for a few more questions in the near future. And once again, amazing drive, 3rd place. Not probably what you wanted, but a fantastic start to the championship nonetheless.
Yeah, thanks so much, JJ, and make sure everyone watching to tune into the Vote of Indy Derby next Sunday, January 11th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on P1 Broadcasting. Thank you so much, and have a great day.
That is Clindy. He is out, and with second in today's race, Liam O'Sullivan is the czar of the iRacing booth. Justin Prince. Justin, take it away.
Yes, indeed. Liam, talk us through your plan for that final restart, because it seemed like an absolute dogfight in the end. 3 wide battling throughout the end.
Yeah, I mean, It was a great fight to even get in that position. I mean, the first 120 laps, they pulled a blinder strategy that I don't think it made much sense for Jesper's race to trap everyone a lap down when he was 30 laps into a stint, but definitely helped Kyle a lot. We were faster than them, played that phase of the race better than them, fought our way back on the lead lap when the caution came out, me and Julian, and led to that dogfight, as you said, at the end. That was the first time, and it was so difficult for me, the first time to be in that sort of pack racy position with the hybrid unit, because you take the lead, then you want to recharge it, because if you're going on to that last lap and no hybrid, which I was convinced I had it coming off of 4, to be honest, because I had a full pack of hybrid on the outside. And I think I would have had it if I squeezed Jesper a little bit more in 3 and 4. I think I made that a bit too easy for him. I mean, he really pushed me up, and I don't think I was aggressive enough at pinching him down. I haven't seen the replay yet, but I think there was a bit, I'm talking thin margins, but I think there was a bit more, but whether it was 11 thousandths worth, probably. But yeah, again, I got a bit of help. I think Julian and Carl had a bit of a coming together there, by the sounds of what Carl's saying. But yeah, I was in a good position there at the end, and I think I was in the best position. I just didn't execute it 100% how I'm happy with. But I mean, Jack will know this. I told him I was going to win this race today, and I mean, I came 11 thousandths from doing it. So, yeah, disappointed in a way not to snag that win, especially at a track where kind of anyone can win out of that front group, but very happy nonetheless. And Mexico, I'll be strong and be looking to win again, especially if we're looking at Jesper and Carl in the championship. It's a place where I can gain big time in points.
You answered a lot of potential questions that I was going to ask actually in one rip, but in terms of the team's sake of things, curious on your approach with the Alternate Autosport machines. We've seen you guys try and go off cycle with the early cautions. What was that in terms of the team conversation side of things to try and control the packs at some points of this race where it almost fell to you and your team boss at one point?
I felt the first 140, 150 laps we were just chasing the race. And I remember Julian, when we got back on the lead lap, going, I think he was a bit more conservative, save the fuel to extend the stint. I was like, I want to go back and lead this thing, because I want to prove a point that I'm back on the lead lap. I'm here to dominate again, like I like to do, lead a load of laps early on, be in control of a race. And it was too often for me that control has gone away from me too early on, or I'd lead a load, and that's what leads to me being second, third all the time. So it was important for me. There was a lot of, I mean, especially when we were a lap down, I just think people didn't know how to react because no one was expecting it. In my mind, was full push was the only way to get back on the lead lap, and it worked for me. But if there wasn't more cautions in that race, I mean, it's Kyle's by an absolute landslide. But thankfully there was, and the law of odds helped us, and it led to a great. I mean, it's a shame that I think Aman and Rod and a few, but it was good execution from the team cars as a response. But it was a shame we all didn't get the result.
So as you said, you're expecting things to be strong for Mexico. How do you feel the track will race, especially with it being one of the newest on the circuit?
I think there'll be a big emphasis on qualifying, because the low air pressure, I think, with Mexico being higher up, it really is impacting on iRacing, probably more than it should do. So it's going to be very difficult to pass. My goal is to qualify, whether that be on pole or top 3, and run away with it and have a nice boring race for Mexico. I don't really want to be in the fight or race at all from my perspective on a road course. But the main thing coming out of here is we're not chasing points, which is so easy to be in a position like that at a track like this. Like this when you look at the schedule from a championship perspective, this and Indy are the most scary, because they're unpredictable in, one, maybe sometimes who can win, and two, they're so easy to get caught up in other people's mess. I think there was 2 or 3 times today I narrowly, like Katie, I think, ran into the back of me. I got a 4X on a restart. Katie just fully plowed into me, I just think slightly unaware. That could have been rear wing damage, day done, and then I'm 50 points in the hole in the championship. So overall, very happy. and look forward to Mexico in a week's time.
Any show that you'd like to give before we let you get going?
Yeah, shout out to obviously you guys to start with. I mean, that must have been an entertaining race. Shout out to obviously the team. Shame we all didn't get the result there, but nonetheless a solid start to the season. I want to shout out Hand in Hand again, still on my car. Great charity, helping kids in Kenya. Still strong with me. And yeah, moving on to the next one, and thanks to Alzheimer's Association as well for always continuously backing us.
Congratulations on the second place run today here, Liam.
Yep, thanks, guys.
Liam O'Sullivan, P2 Gary.
And it should be mentioned, the last time we were here in season 13, Jesper beat Liam again by 29 thousandths. Today, the margin of victory is a little bit closer, 11 thousandths of a second. And then let's bring in Jesper Dahlgren, the former Jesper Orman. Either way you look at it, he's still the man that's won this championship 2 times before. He is the all-time winner in this series under whatever name he chooses to drive under. And he backs up his win here from a season ago with another win here over the same guy he beat a season ago. Congratulations, Jesper. We were talking about it in the race. It's not where you are in mile 100. It's not where you are in mile 200 or 300. It's where you are at mile 400 and lap 200 here. And there was a portion of this race where you were a lap down, and there was a portion of this race where your team kind of made a strategy call to kind of trap some people with lap down. We noticed that. But you fought your way back and got onto the lead lap and got the win, your 20th career win here in the Velocity Online Racing IndyCar Series. Congratulations. Talk about your race.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up, I think. Well, it's a really long race. I kind of like the different setup. Really was hard on the right rear, so you really had to take it easy in the corners, and leading was actually worse than being in the pack. But yeah, I think Yellow came out at like lap 45, and me and Clandy, we decided to split strategies. So I just, let's see what happens. Let's confuse Gary in the booth so he can't call this race. And like at one point, I think I was a lap down and a stop down as well. So I knew that I had to make up all that time, and I knew that I had to be lucky with the yellow. A couple of yellows came out there at the end, so worked out. I think it really made the race interesting because at one point we were like 4 or 5 different strategies. One point, Julian and Liam was a lap down. Next, they were at the preferable strategy with more fuel and new tires. So it was really interesting that way. Kind of messed up a little bit in my first pit stop. And then the most interesting thing was with the late caution. I didn't know what happened. I think the guy tried to come up the track and spun again or something, whatever. And I mean, there was something was bugged with the pace car, so it picked up Clendy and so I was like, okay, we have to go 1 lap more around the pace car now to be able to pit. And all of a sudden it was like 2 to green. I was like, what? Okay. So then I knew I had only 1 lap to pit, so I pit on that with like 1 to go, and I got a black flag apparently because for some reason the bugged pace car had close the pits for the lead cars. I've never seen that in IndyCar. I've never seen closed pits for leaders. Really weird. Anyway, got the black flag. I was told it's going to be reviewed. Expecting that it's going to be that they're not going to do anything. Well, if they do anything, I think a black flag for entering closed pits is normally an EOL. So I mean, I came out last on the lead lap, so it was effectively an EOL like that. And then, yeah, so I actually lost out to that. I think I was P2 behind Julian, and after I've missed the first pit call, I was like P5 or P6. So I lost out on it. So we'll see what they do.
Just to let you know a little bit about IndyCar history here. IndyCar has raced here 14 times, and over those 14 races, there are a number of drivers, 3 drivers that won it twice, but no driver ever won at California 3 times. In 12 or now 11 runnings here at California in the Velocity Online Racing Series, you have won 3 times. So
Nice.
congratulations on that kind of comparison into real IndyCar history. It's kind of rare. So now you got 3 wins here. How's this shaping for your participation for the rest of the season? Are you in it for the long haul? Are we in it for a partial schedule? Are you going to go for championship number 3 and try to tie up Alex Van de Sant?
I'm absolutely in it for the whole series, the whole season, the whole year. I need to look into Mexico. I don't think I have that track, so I need to buy it and make a couple laps. So we'll see what happens.
Well, before you get to practicing there, shout outs, friends, family, sponsors, anyone who want to say hi. And now the early points leader.
Yeah, plenty. Fortunately, Hunter, he was taken out there early, so that was bad for us. But I mean, Lendy, I think, is the reigning champ, so it'll be fun to go up against him. So we'll see.
Jesper Orman, winner today here at the 400 miler to start off the season 15 of the Velocity Online Racing IndyCar Championship. Congratulations, and we will see you in a week when we get to Mexico City, but get that track. And we'll move them out of the channel there. Points are already in, but to be expected, pretty much the order how we finish is how the points are going to be. Starting with you, Jack. First of all, thanks for being here. An extra set of eyes for today definitely helped. Jesper, we've seen a couple of races. I've seen actually the last couple of races with him where he's kind of finished second or third and did an awful lot of work for his team for the PRI Hoosier 500, but wasn't in that race. Gets a little bit of a reward today and gets the win over everyone and for his team. But a good opening stanza to this championship. Your final thoughts before we move on to Mexico City?
Yeah, I think, the things that we definitely need to take away from, especially today on ovals, I know that Clendy was very clear to me in saying that road courses are not his strong point, but when those two teammates get together, they can be extremely powerful, especially in the earlier stages of the race where, we saw today, they sort of held so many cars a lap down and sort of dictated who they could race for the win at the end. And I reckon if we didn't have some safety car problems, we could have had an extremely different end to this race. And I think if we end up with those two going for the championship, I think that'll be a really interesting inter-team dilemma as to see at what point do they then start doing the team game a little bit less and start bringing others into play, potentially for their personal benefit rather than that of the teams.
Justin, you've done broadcasted races, countless races, done much like me. And for the 7th consecutive race, going back to season 5 here in the Velocity Online Racing IndyCar Championship, 32 thousandths with the margin of victory in season 5, 44 thousandths in season 6, 26 thousandths in season 8, 15 thousandths in season 9, season 10, 25 thousandths, a meager 200ths only in season 11. But 29 thousandths in season 13 and another 11 thousandths here in season 14. Any way you look at it, IndyCars at Auto Club Speedway. It's a shame it's not here for real in real life anymore, but they always deliver and they never seem to disappoint. And another photo finish here. Your final thoughts here on closing out the opener for this 400 miler and another photo finish here at Auto Club Speedway.
It came down to could you get yourself in the right lap cycle, it felt like, with today, to set up a barn burner of a finish. We've seen some of the top drivers play this out perfectly, get the luck of the caution, but also pace themselves to know they had to stretch out to X amount of gas. In the end, teams like Altena's and like O'Sullivan were able to play this perfectly to have a chance. But in the end, it was just a matter of could you get yourself onto the right spot, into the right spot rather, for the end of this one. It was a thriller, to say the very least. I can't wait for Mexico City.
That's going to wrap us up for today. Once again, your podium here for the 11th running of the California 400 from Auto Club Speedway in Fontana. Jesper Orman with his series history leading 20th win with the victory today over Liam O'Sullivan and our defending series champion Kyle Clinworth coming home in third for the defense of his season 14 championship. Join us again Saturday, January 10th as season 15 continues in Mexico City for the VOR Mexico City Grand Prix. Coverage starts approximately 2 p.m. Eastern time. Again, it's 2:00 p.m. Eastern. Remember, as always, for the correct broadcast time in your area, you can find everything you need right here on YouTube at youtube.com. Just search Velocity Online Racing. Now, as you know, the YouTube algorithm game's not easy, so please help support us with the weekly grind. Leave a comment below. Let us know your thought of today's race and enjoy today's coverage. Support us by smashing the like in the video. If you're new, click subscribe and while you're at it, the bell for weekly reminders so you miss out on more of Velocity Online Racing's other iRacing coverage, including the long-running International IndyCar League right here on Velocity Online Racing Channel. Round 3 of their championship is tomorrow from Homestead Miami Speedway. Start time, if you're an early riser here in the Eastern Time Zone, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, so you don't want to miss it. To learn more about Velocity Online Racing and what we do, visit velocityonlineracing.com, like them on Facebook, or follow them on Twitter. Also, for everything else, if you're interested about learning more about Velocity Online Racing, head on over to the website, but also check them out on their Discord link as well. So, for the czar of the iRacing broadcast booth, the great Justin Prince, the suave-sounding Jack James, the General Howie Burrows on the board, and everyone here at Velocity Online Racing, I'm Gary Gotzo saying all happy Saturday. Thanks for watching, and all our men and women serving in the military and as first responders, Godspeed, God bless, and come home safe. Catch us again right here next week in Mexico City for the next race up, the Velocity Online Racing IndyCar Championship. We'll see you, and Happy New Year.